Good Meridian. How's everybody doing? Sorry about starting up the stream on Twitch. Oftentimes I do like to have a morning stream on Twitch and then an afternoon stream on YouTube. And sometimes I don't remember to flip that little switch over. Crypto Grady in the house. Welcome on in, man. I had to check to make sure that you weren't already streaming. Been streaming like a madman lately. It's amazing. And look at this. You're in here in the first like 2 minutes, man. Or actually, you're in here like the first 48 seconds. So no rewinding. Awesome. How is your day starting, man? What are you up to? Brown Gent also just got the mug from the post office. Amazing. I had checked. Oh my goodness, I am so happy to hear that. Because I just checked the tracking link the other day. Because, you know, you had said you were going to pick it up. And I still had the link pulled up so I could, you know, kind of watch and make sure it's progressing properly. And so I was about to close out that tab on my browser. And I said, well, let's just, you know, verify one more time. And I saw it looked like you hadn't picked it up yet, even I think it was yesterday. And I was like, oh man, because I know that originally they had only given a few specific days to pick it up. I'm glad you made arrangements and were able to get it. Fantastic. Born to Die here also. Oh my goodness. This is where all the cool people are hanging out for sure. You know, I try to stream on Twitch every now and then also, but I will have to admit, the majority of DFK folks are definitely here on YouTube. I really like the streaming platform on Twitch a lot better, so maybe we can convert more of the DFK community over to Twitch over a little bit of time. But in the meantime, super happy to have everybody here. Mighty Bean here also. Oh my goodness. Tim Butters also. Sardo Fritz. So many nice friendly regular faces. Love seeing all of y'all here in chat. Awesome. You know, today guys, I was thinking about what I'm gonna do. You know, my stream does not have a ton of alpha, as most of y'all know. I really appreciate the streams that do. I will hop over here oftentimes and come over to the Darlantis Discord and jump into the gaming section for the voice chat. So if people want to join in on voice, it's not really a request. If y'all want to jump in on voice, you always can. I want to start doing that more often. But today's show, kind of like the day in the life of, one of the things that I think I really want to do today, I watched Grady's stream with Zellies yesterday. And I think y'all remember I had Coolio on a couple of days ago. We talked about DFK Helper a little bit. I know Brown Gent is doing like a 30-day assessment of DFK Helper. I've been using DFK Helper for quite a while now, really liking it more and more every day. One of the things that I thought about doing today, though, again, kind of in the day of the life of, I didn't realize that, or maybe I had heard it before, but you know, I'm doing so much different things. It's hard for me to focus on a specific thing or remember what I'm trying to do for myself without my notes for my own life. But watching Grady stream the other day triggered a memory for myself that DFK Helper has a $15 a month subscription fee, like as a beginner. Right? And so I thought I would go and check that out a little bit more. And I've got another account, right? So I've got this little baby account. My normal account is using DFK Helper. Really liking it, like all the features of it. I want to show that a little bit more on stream. But I've got this little Rock 808 test account. And it doesn't really have a lot of funds in it. It's only got like $500 of funds. Let's refresh this page one more time. And I'm thinking about even adjusting this a little bit more. So I've got a couple of liquidity pools one of them with just $1 in there. I was going to start off Serendale with Jade Jewel, and I was pretty adamant that I wanted to have Jewel, and I figured Jade to play in the game. And so the Jewel Jade pool was going to be the pool that I was going to dive all into, and I really was thinking it didn't really matter too much what the APRs were going to be. The Jade Jewel pool was what I was going to get into. I was under the impression that, from some things I heard from the dev team, that they wanted to extend out, make longer the time period of decent APRs for us, and they didn't want to what's the word I want to use? They didn't want to blow everything out right in the first week or 2 or 3 for the liquidity pools. And so I had a massively false, turns out, understanding that they were going to lower the APRs for the initial 1 or 2 weeks, but then they were going to extend out the time period. And you might be asking, well, how could they even do that? Let's go ahead and check out docs, DeFiKingdoms.com, and I'll kind of explain at least what my thought process was for this, right? And maybe I was totally off base with it. Let's check out the Jade Gardens as an example. So right here, every week that goes by, they have a certain amount of Jade per minute that gets released. So 960 Jade per minute, next week 720, next week 600 and 480 and so on. And so of course, that very first week, you've got 960 Jade per minute popping out of those liquidity pools. And then of course it's divided by all the liquidity pools into the percentages of what their allotment is, right? I think most of y'all know that. Don't want to get sidetracked into showing that unless y'all have questions about it later. But my thought was that they were going to start off with lower emissions of Jade. Like maybe they would start off with 300 instead of 960, but then rather have it drop off. I mean, this is a pretty significant drop from 960 to 720 in 1 week. And then again, another very significant drop. So by the time the first week and the third week rolls around, you're talking 1/3 loss in the emissions. And then over here, by the 7th week, you're down 2/3 or more than 2/3 from the original launch. So this is a massive drop in emissions over just, 1 or 2 months time period, right? And so what my thought is that they were going to start off with something like 300 Jade per minute, but then the next week would also be 300, or maybe it would be something like 350, then 340, then 330, then 320, then 310, and on. In other words, start off smaller, but shorter drops each week and extend that time period out, right? That was what my thinking was. When I was originally thinking about putting into the Jade Jewel pools, I was not thinking we would have anywhere near 30,000% APRs or anything like that, right? I was thinking that all of our APRs would probably be somewhere in around maybe 5,000 to 8,000 at the most, right? If y'all remember me talking about that. And so that's what my plan was, to get into those, or to get into the Jade Jewel pool. However, and so I put a little bit in there just to kind of point out to y'all viewers, this is the one I'm going to get into, blah, blah, blah. Well, as soon as, of course, we realized that we've got 30,000 or even higher percent APRs, I was like, forget that. That doesn't make any sense to jump into this Jade Jewel pool at that low APR. So, of course, like anybody, I shouldn't want to say anybody should, but just like a rational, enthusiastic investor seeing these high APRs, I, of course, want to put everything into the higher APRs, right? And that was only $420 for this specific account, right? So I've got some other accounts. There's a little bit more or less in some of those. But what I want to do with this account right here is try out DFK Helper with a smaller pool. In fact, I'm even considering dropping this account down to only $100 in the liquidity pool. And I'm kind of interested to get y'all's feedback here, whether you're in chat right now or comment on this video a little bit later. But I'm curious, how many of us out there are in a position where we might have or might be interested in watching an account going through a botting service like DFK Helper with only $100 in the liquidity pool? That's going to make a fairly substantial difference. And Brown Gent, I don't know if you're still listening or not. Do you care to share right now how much in the DFK Helper account that you're trying out for the month, the 30 days that you're doing your thing? What value is in your liquidity pool, or the combination of all your liquidity pools for that account? I'm kind of curious. Are you doing something low, something mid-range, something high for you? 0? Oh my goodness. Are you serious? Don't need it. Oh man. So Brown Gent, if that's, I mean, I can't help but trust you, so I'm gonna assume that that's true, but tears make it worth my while. So that's really interesting to hear. Okay, so this is a big deal also, Brown Gent. I guess the thing to ask you at this point then is how many heroes then are in that account? Because that's going to make the next big difference. So in this particular account that I'm trying out, I have some small, let me just check here. Only 6 heroes. So I think I only have about 6 heroes in here. And that's going to make a massive difference for me. So Brown Gent says 170 heroes in that account. So what my goal is for this specific test is to try to get fairly close to maybe like the average to low end type of player, right? Who is just getting in. They might not have a lot of cash. Maybe they're in a third world country where even a small amount of US dollar value is a lot of money to them. And so my idea is that almost anywhere in the world, even third world countries where they put it, have a little bit of a savings, can probably scrounge together about $100, 100 USD of value, right? Fairly easily. I mean, I don't want to sound too weird, being a privileged American in a first world country that with the pay differences across the nations. But I think even in third world countries, if you're really interested in doing NFT gaming, $100 is probably kind of a minimum you would expect to get into a NFT game anyway, right? So I'm thinking about that. And then, of course, how many heroes do you have? These days, with heroes being about $10, again, I don't see a problem getting a handful of heroes. And so 6 heroes is okay, but really I'm thinking about getting this account maybe up to 15. And so here when Brown Gent is saying 170 heroes with 0 in the liquidity pool, I could definitely see that for sure, because you've got so many heroes, and of course the tiers make it worth your while. Tiers are super valuable right now. You make 40 cents off the tiers every day, right? So with less heroes, of course, you're not going to be bringing in that same amount of tiers. And I don't think, I mean, I wonder, is there a record somewhere? Does anyone know? I'm sure someone's done the math or the calculations or the research to find out how many wallets have over 50 heroes. I think somebody's has that research somewhere. Not that we need to, not that I'm going to go necessarily look at it right now, but I have a feeling that there's probably a massive amount of wallets that do not even have 50 heroes in there. So that's kind of my goal for this, is to have probably start off with about 15 heroes, maybe only $100 worth of value, and then to pay for the $15 a month sampler for DFK Helper. Does that make enough to support itself? All right. And then one thing to consider with DFK Helper, just the time savings to not have to wake up. So even if it's not fully paying for itself on a daily basis, that is a place that we want to be. But another thing to think about is that the heroes are leveling up, the heroes are questing over that time, so they are getting more valuable. So even if they're not bringing in a daily amount of loot, quested loot, they're still gaining value themselves. And that's something that we definitely do not want to overlook, right? Let me catch up in chat a little bit. I know Grady said this long paragraph that I haven't had a chance to read yet. And let's see who else is coming on in here. Born to Die in the house. Oh, man. Yeah, some of y'all are doing really amazing stuff. Let's see. Yeah, if you compare the beginning, excuse me, if you compare the beginning of the Jewel Gardens and then the Crystal Gardens, they did lower the initial Jade. Yeah, I thought they did, but still, we had a massive, you know, the initial APRs on those gardens were still really huge. So I was thinking it would even be less than that. I'm really excited to see that we had such high APRs, but it did throw me off my original plan, which is fine. I mean, we all, you know, part of the NFT and the crypto space is you've got to be flexible. You've got to be able to adjust your game strategy and plan at the spur of the moment or drop of a hat. And those of us that can do that are a little bit better off. I'm not saying that I'm really good at that kind of thing, but definitely over the years of me being into crypto, I definitely have you know, enjoyed the fact that I can pivot pretty easily based on what I see. It had much less liquidity there compared to the others. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that was something too. And, you know, again, it's really hard to resist those high APRs, right? So Brown Gent here is talking about 0 in the liquidity pools. It's crazy. I mean, man. So Brown Gent, I'm going to suppose that one of your probable strategies then, and again, this is all very time sensitive. So those of you that are listening to my stream right now, and maybe sometime in the future, be very cautious with what I'm about to say right here, because as I just mentioned with the APRs, tactics and strategies can change instantly at the drop of a hat. And a lot of it depends on the values of certain things in the game. Like right this very moment, tiers, which we can get from questing, are pretty valuable. And so apparently Brown Gen is saying that just some income from the tiers with 170 heroes makes the payment for DFK Helper worthwhile, or probably pretty close is my guess. I don't want to steal any thunder there, but that's just what I'm kind of getting at. But what I'm going to speculate then right here, if I may, is if having nothing in the liquidity pool, and Brown Gen, I don't even know, and I don't necessarily want you to say, because you know, you've got your own strategies, and I don't want to take anything away from that. But if I was to guess, based on what I'm seeing here, that Brown Gen, unless he's trying a specific strategy as a test, which I think you are, I'm going to guess, or a bit of a takeaway from this would be that owning an additional hero or putting money, like if you've got an extra $20, it would be better to buy a hero than to put that into the liquidity pool, is kind of what I'm hearing from this. I haven't done the test. I don't know if Brown Gent has done a test or anyone has done a test like that, but something like this would lead me to believe it's better to own another hero than to fill up your liquidity pools. And in that particular case, I would have to wonder if maybe I should empty all of my liquidity pools at the moment and use all those funds to buy a bunch of heroes, right? I don't know. The hero floor has gone up a little bit, guys. I have been buying a hero or two every now and then for the last couple of months. As soon as I get up a little bit of value, I'll look at the heroes in the tavern and see what's out there, and if you know it meets some of my qualifications, then I'll go ahead and pick one up. But I've been noticing that the hero floor is getting up there. 50 Jade right here in Serendale. And what are we looking at in Crystal Vale? Let's check that out real briefly. Looks like for Crystal Veil, hero floor is 57 crystal. Does that mean that crystal and jade are about the same price right now? Let's check out some of this stuff. So it's been like 2 days since I've looked at this. 12 cents for jade and 10 cents for crystal. So they are pretty close. I think they are we're going to see parity in the price of that pretty soon. All right, so let's see here. Brown Gent says, want me to come on live first? Brown Gent, if you want to, I would love to have you live on the stream. You're welcome to do it. It's on the DFK, or the, not the DFK, the Darlantis Discord, into the gaming voice channel. And if you want to come in, absolutely. Love to have a chat with you. Let's see. Rugged on Twitch. Oh no. Zabu, did you try to do a stream on Twitch and something happened? I'm more than happy to help you out a little bit more. I was kind of expecting you to get on Twitch, and I saw you do a live on YouTube, and I thought something might have happened. Of course, let's not do it on the stream right now while I'm doing this, but maybe sometime a little bit later today or this evening, or maybe like in 5 or 7 hours, I guess. I might have a little bit of time, and I'd love to help you out with that. How many people have applied for the Pantheon so far? Oh yeah, Brown Gent has an amazing, what do I want to say? Smart contract of a guild, right? Where people vote, or anyone can be voted in and out. Brown Gent himself could even be voted out. Although, I would hate for that to happen, to be honest. I think Brown Gent makes a really good leader and really good member of the community. I would love to have him as part of some of these guilds, and especially ones that he's got an interest or that he starts. But I think it's super amazing that he's created a guild that anyone can be voted in and out based on if they're performing or not. I would love to get into something like that, but I think right now weird things are going on in my life, and I don't know if I could pull my own weight, to be honest. So I'd like to get in on a lot of these things, but I think that the qualifications would have to be somewhat low for me to get in on some of this stuff. But I would love to help out a lot of guilds and see everybody do really well with that kind of stuff. And eventually, I'm hoping that I can be a lot more consistent and supportive in a lot of this stuff as well. Crypto Grady says, yes, the level of heroes makes such a huge difference on that. Massive difference between level 10 and plus versus level 1s. That is true. So a lot of my heroes are still fairly low level. If we take a look at these right now, we can see level 1, level 1, level 1s, a bunch of level 1s. And so, oh my goodness, are all of these level 1s? Oh man. This whole wallet is filled. Oh no, these are buying heroes. Thought I was looking at my wallet. Let's go ahead and look at my wallet here for the test. Yeah. I don't think there are any heroes on the Crystal Veil. Let's come over to the Serendale, and for these few heroes that I've got, level 2, level 8, level 5, level 4, 4, 7, and 1. So again, these aren't my best or worst heroes in general that are in this wallet. I think I just randomly picked some to throw over into this wallet for the time being. So it's got a little bit of a mix. But notice that none of these heroes are over level 10. And several of them, level 1, level 2, level 4, are fairly low. I guess we got some mid-range in there. But that does make a huge difference. Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see with DFK Helper if a small number of lower end heroes, again, are going to really be worth it, because once you do have higher level heroes, they are going to be bringing in better loot and quality loot. So that is definitely something that Grady is reminding us about, which is fantastic. Let's see, substantially less liquidity in the initial Jade Gardens. That's why APRs were so high. Yeah, absolutely. I think in the initial Crystal Gardens, It almost hit $1 billion, or maybe it was $500 million. Yeah, it was something massively crazy. Yeah. And also, one other thing to consider about the fact that the initial Crystal Gardens hit so high was we were at the very tail end, and I guess some people still might have been in the euphoric feeling of the bull run, right? And it was right there at the tail end when Crystal Vale was still opening. And so a lot of us were just jumping on, and there was a lot more people in DeFi Kingdoms and just in crypto and in general and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Stomposaurus, I want to chat with you a little bit also today. Remember, I kept a few of your suggestions for some hero pairings, and this particular one right here where you suggested, again, a Crystal Vale hero 13213 and a new Serendale hero 29804. I had a few questions if this was trying to pair these up together, or if you remember, I think we were talking about pairing up one of my Gen 0s, and so I wasn't sure if each of these should be paired with the Gen 0 or with them together. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Stomposaurus, awesome to see you. And Beeve also. Oh my goodness, so many great people. How are you doing today, Rock? I am doing fine. Hope everyone has a great day. Yeah, you too, Beeve. Thanks for dropping in. Uh-oh, we got somebody on the house. Who is here with us? Brown Gent.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Fed hooked it up. So I guess it's fair play because I told him yesterday that he won a giveaway in the About Life podcast. So here he is helping me out because I didn't have access to this Darlantis.
Oh, you didn't?
Right?
Oh, man.
No.
That's okay.
But like, I only wanted to come on for a few minutes to kind of answer the questions you had.
Absolutely.
Because you were talking a lot about like DFK Helper, right?
Yes.
And there's so yeah, I am trying to test it out, but I also, Grady and I have been talking about this for a while around tiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tiers are worth like 0.22 crystal, maybe even higher.
Yeah.
Every time you get one, and I'm getting messages nonstop on my DFK Helper. 3 Gaia's tiers at 3:49 p.m. 2 Gaia's tiers at 3:46 p.m. Right?
Yeah.
Constantly just getting them with heroes continuing to run. So like, how much do I need to get the same amount in a garden?
Right.
How much liquidity do I need? Right.
Right.
So the idea is, why don't I just get heroes? Heroes will level up. I kind of build that out. I'm also getting materials. I have a chance for eggs and stuff like that. I'm not, like I've gotten 2 eggs so far. I've been running this for 4 days, I think.
Yeah.
And the duels feature is also really good because they make it so easy. So one of the things that one of my friends has taught me was, if you play the single mode, every time you win, you have to lose twice to even out a win. Or sorry, you have to lose twice to even out one win, which means that you can go 33% and kind of net neutral, but anything better than that, and you're actually gaining rewards.
Yeah.
So like, I'm up like 3 stamina potions and whatever, and I actually screwed up myself. I used a bunch of my heroes on my main account, so when I transferred it over, they're all locked out of the season. So I had to use my tier 2 heroes, right? I'm using my like level 6 mythics and not my like level 9, level 10 mythics, which are way more powerful.
Yeah.
And because of that, like, it's taking a little longer, but like, that gives you a really good shot. And I think that is a real big feature of DFK Helper that a lot of people don't use.
Yeah.
Beyond just like the questing, because like, if I just wanted to quest, I could pay $15 a month, right?
Yeah.
And like make smaller wallet and do that and save money, which is what I recommend for most people.
Right.
But if you want to like actually like use it like an ecosystem bot, which is like, have your auto sell, auto buys, and do all this stuff for you, automate everything so you don't have to think about it. Right. Because honestly, man, like $45, like, I mean, like when you go buy this Starbucks coffee, what is it, like $5?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would give up 9 Starbucks coffees to like not have to deal with any of the BS of like, hey, sell my hero at like 300 crystal, but every time it hits full stamina, go quest it and then put it back up. Right. All that stuff you don't have to think about.
Yep. Yeah. That and that was something that I was kind of looking at myself a little bit was, so I've got up on the screen right now their first row of offerings. And of course, they've got several offerings for different wallet sizes and all this kind of stuff. But this first row right here, I think, is a starter, something to look at for most people in the beginning. And of course, you mentioned the $15 a month. It's only for questing. It's not even including level ups, like no level ups or anything, no dueling and all this kind of stuff. And so I think there's a lot of people that have a hard time thinking about spending any money on an online game, right? There are those type of people, which is a little hard to think about when you're in a space like a crypto space where we're spending money on NFTs and crypto stuff already. So I think the people here probably have a different mindset than most players. But a monthly fee, I think, is something that people are a little concerned about. Why would I want to spend even $15 a month if they don't have the confidence that their accounts are going to be able to make that? And then they're in a crypto game to make money, and then they end up paying more than they're making every month. So this is...
And I have a really easy way to solve that for them. Number one, just how many stamina attempts did you miss out on for that month?
Yes.
Because if those stamina attempts would have made more than $15, then you're the one who lost money because you actually like left money on the table, right?
Yeah.
Because like for myself, I can go ahead and like when I had like 30 heroes, I'm not gonna lie, it was super easy to make sure I never missed it.
Yep.
But can you imagine sitting there, even with the multi-queue feature, and sitting there going all that clicking and doing that, making sure all of it's going on? It's a significant time investment. And sometimes you're just gonna miss out on a bunch. Like you have to run to a meeting. I guess you can't do it, right?
Yeah.
I can do like before I go to work, hop on the train, I could run like, 8 quests and do it. But can you imagine me hitting like 50 or 40 buttons and whatever, trying to do that?
Yeah.
Impossible. So that's one thing. And number two, $15 in the long term for crypto is nothing. You can also make that money through arbitrage opportunities. I see the same people who I'm going to assume are crying about $15, also the ones who are like, oh, you only made 50 crystal on this trade, what's the big deal? Well, that's $5. So I'm like 1/3 the way there.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. And so I noticed when you were talking a few minutes ago, you mentioned something about $45 a month. So I'm wondering if you're looking at this wallet for up to 250 heroes.
Yeah.
Is that the one that you're looking at, or did you just...
That's the one I have because I was at 170 something.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of got away from myself in the summoning that summoning raffle. I started the summoning raffle with 30 something heroes, and I walked out of it with almost 300. Because I couldn't stop.
That's amazing. I'm a little bit jealous of you because over the course of the last several months, I've been realizing, like maybe a lot of us have, how much more valuable heroes are. And when heroes were down at, like 28 crystal or so, and crystal was even a little bit lower. So heroes were about between $3 and $4. I was really thinking about just putting in $1,000 and buying as many heroes as I could at $3, $3 to $4, $5 each. And I was not able to get some fiat in there at that time. So of course now the prices have really shot up. And so I'm a little sad that I don't have as many more heroes as I wanted.
But I wouldn't worry about going that approach. And like, I'll be honest with you, even knowing what I know about heroes, I wouldn't go and buy bulk floor heroes. I think you're better off trying to actually so I have a video coming out, probably not for a while, but it's on advanced summoning. And what I did was I went into the tavern prior to the actual me summoning with them. I just mapped out a bunch of pairs of either paladins and dark knights and summoners and ninjas to get the kind of advanced or elite abilities, right?
Yeah.
Set all that up. I have a Excel spreadsheet where all of the IDs are documented and the kind of the cost. I plan out all the costs ahead of time, right?
Yes.
Including the might stones that I would need, I forget what the hell the wisdom one and whatever, all that stuff. And I made sure I did kind of a optimal strategy for them. And then the thing is, you have a natural distribution, right? So when you look at hero.adfk, the website, it tells you, okay, well, 14% of the time you'll hit an elite class. But then like 3% of the time you're gonna hit like some crappy basic here, and 6% you're gonna hit this basic, and I think it's like 25% or 30% you hit this. You hit one of the two advanced kind of from the parents. Well, so you have it covered. I think it's like 60 to 70% of the time you hit like the advanced from the parent, 14% you hit like the elite, and then the rest you hit like some garbage, right? Well, that's the distribution, and my floor heroes, the worst heroes came from that. Right? So instead of paying for people's like bottom end of the distribution, I would just naturally end up making them as a result of this. But by doing so, I was able to create like multiple 3 out of 3 stages with like double advanced on them, for example.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? Yep. And that way, like I have the upside too. I don't just have the downside. I got a rare 3 out of 3 Dragoon in this process.
Sure.
Right? Sure. Where like if I just went in there and bought like just the worst of the worst, so I think the problem is people think that history repeats itself, but history rhymes, right?
Right, exactly.
The way I made my first Gen0, a lot of people don't know this, right? Because I bought a Gen0 on discount, but the majority of the funds came from money I made from buying heroes or even summoning heroes when I was like newer in the game, selling them at higher levels this summer, and then using that liquidity to just bankroll me buying like level 7 heroes and flipping them in level 8 and level 9.
Yeah.
And I was like doubling my money there and selling it off. But guess what? That's because the average hero level at the time was much lower.
That's right.
What's happening is there's a spreadsheet somebody had. There's some Medium website that actually has that stats on where all the level distribution is for all heroes. That's what you got to keep track of. That's gonna get away from like the further that gets from level 1, the worse off your floor heroes are, because the populace is going to be so far behind the average hero that makes the common populace hero garbage. Of course, like you get like mythic pets and you get things to help you boost the level up. Sure. So these are the things you're hearing. But then again, you won't have that for every hero. That's right. So this is how the mythics and the legends and the good hero is going to rise to the top. But like the common pauper hero is not going to get the elevator up. They're going to take the long walk. And that long walk, like how long do you think it's going to take to make that level 1 the same value as it would have had last summer? Right. Because last summer, the bar to get there was so much lower, right?
I think actually that's a really good point, and another really good selling point for getting set up with a bot as quickly as possible. And that is because, just as you said, those level 1s and level 2s, they're going to get left in the dust. And even as new level 1s are being generated 6 months from now, they're still going to be level 1s, and it's going to take them a lot longer to get up to speed. I think if you're trying to level manually, and just as you said, if over the middle of the night or your computer goes down or something like that, or whatever it is, and you're not leveling those heroes up 24 hours a day, I mean, every single chance that they can get, if you're not working to level those up, you are going to get left behind, because there's more and more people that are getting these automated questing services. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of more heroes are consistently 24 hours a day moving up the ladder.
That's right.
Yeah.
I also think that reality hasn't set in for many people. So like, yes, while those heroes, like Grady mentioned earlier that higher level is important as well for like chance of you picking up items, etc., right? Because you grow the profession stats and all of that, right? Yeah. Here's the challenge though. Once we see the definitive difference between like a level 10 or level 15 common versus a level 10 or level 15, I don't know, uncommon, rare, legend, mythic, people are going to start to realize that the incremental that you get from having a level 15 or level 12 common hero versus like a level 6 common, does that really warrant me paying 4x the price or whatever? Yeah. Or do I just pay like a very little increment, and then that price is going to come down big time? Yeah. So this is why, like, we have a constant debate, and I asked Sargent to put that question up about Gen0 versus floor heroes, equivalent value. I will always go for the Gen0 because it's non-inflationary, right? It is a rarity. It's a delicacy, right? It's a money printer of its own. And yes, right now, honestly, this is probably the only time where I think those floor heroes can out-earn them because of tiers. But in the absence of that, I think Gen 0 wins slam dunk all the time.
So what do you think about this? And again, one thing I really want to get across to, I don't think I need to get this across to you, but a lot of people out there listening today and a lot of people that might be listening to this in a month, the things that we're talking about, I think every time, not just in this particular video or this conversation, but everything that we talk about in NFT space and maybe gaming space, but specifically DeFi Kingdoms, you need to recognize when people are having conversations that, for one, the game could change, the times could change, but also the situation, like tiers being super valuable right now, and the fact that we don't have really very many heroes over level 15 is a massive difference in what the game and what the situation is going to be like in 6 months when we have a lot more heroes getting up to level 20 and 30, right? So one of the things that I'm thinking about, or the question for you, Brown Gent, is you're talking about a Gen 0, which I do feel is super valuable, but then you're comparing it to like having 600 floor level heroes. And when I don't know if you and I have the same edition of floor heroes. When I'm talking about floor heroes, I'm not necessarily talking about the bottom of the barrel. I'm really talking about heroes that might be like, we've got floors at 50 right now. I would consider floors even going up to like 80 or 90. Do you have the same consideration?
So I guess I should define it this way. When we figure out the quantity, it's based on the number of heroes you could get instead of paying for that Gen 0. So if Gen 0 was 20,000 crystal, it would be however many heroes get you 20,000 crystal, right? That's why we said floor.
Gotcha.
Because of that. But like in the sense, like, yeah, totally agree that you could get you could definitely get a mix, you know what I mean? And I would say to those who kind of disagree with that, it's not that I'm hating on floors and not all, I know I'm just looking at the comments, right? So for Haitian, right? I was exactly there. I couldn't, I don't want to say I couldn't afford a Gen 0. I couldn't justify spending money on a Gen 0 when it was 12,000. And even when it was 2,100, I wasn't going to do it unless I had shown myself that I could make money in this game. And I'll be honest with you, I talk about this quite a bit. When you're playing in DFK, I think the people who do the worst are those who come on, who just buy a hero, put money in the liquidity pools, and sit there, farm, mine, and quest every day. If that's all you're doing, you're gonna have a really hard time getting ahead. That's not how you get ahead in this game. To get ahead in this game, you have to be thinking a few steps ahead of time. So when people ask me, like, you asked, why do I have 0 in liquidity? Because I would rather take the 2,200 crystal that I have and spend it to buy a pure archer miner that I see on the tavern. And I think the ROI on that is going to be way higher than the ROI if I put that 2,200 crystal into the liquidity garden.
Yeah. So here, it totally does. Here's the question that I've got for you about the 600 heroes. Let's just say 600 heroes about the floor. One of the things I wanted to preface this with is, of course, the timing of all this stuff is very important and things can change in the game. So here's the thing. If you were to get 600 somewhat floor heroes right now, and you were to use those with some kind of an automated service like DFK Helper, though, then in a couple of months, you're going to have 600 level 10 and then eventually level 20 heroes. That's really something. Now, when you start thinking about that, is that going to, now when you compare 600 level 10 and 600 level 20 heroes to a Gen 0, what are your thoughts on that then?
Yeah, so like I said, we don't know how things will change, right? Like, we don't know, like, for example, like I said, PvP might come out and show us, well, commons and uncommons are really relegated to farming. Those values won't be the significant, right? Also when they're 10, 15, what is the average hero value at, right? And like, what is the average value of a hero that is competitive in PvP, right? So there's a lot of factors there. I also think 600, I think trying to think of what the actual equivalent value is. If it's 24,000 crystal,
Yeah.
how many heroes is that at the floor? I don't know. It's probably less. It's way less than 600, I think.
Probably.
And yeah, and Haitian, I get it. And there's something I knew he was playing. I want to clarify because I've had a lot of people ask me about that recently.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say is, did you see the tweet by that influencer today?
I did
Don,
not.
can I share something?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'm just gonna go to share. Where is it?
Are you sharing your screen?
I'm gonna share. Yeah, here. I'll share it on Discord. Does that?
Yeah, there's
work?
Yeah, you're sharing your stream on Discord. Yeah.
Yeah, is that working?
Yeah, we got it there.
Oh, you have to hit watch stream for it to show.
Yeah, I've got it. And then we're
Okay,
gonna do a full screen on it. There we go.
Cool. Okay, so there is this guy who basically, and what really sucks about these people is every so often you'll have a random person just start posting about DFK and it's always in some sort of negative sense, right?
Yeah.
This person said, remember DeFi Kingdoms, I shilled it to my son, wanted, and it's not even it's not even an English sentence, wanted that he starts a passive income stream as a teenager, even sponsored him some heroes to go on quests. Jewel was at 20, 2 weeks later, the thing rugged.
Right.
I'm a great dad. Taught my son a valuable life lesson, trust nobody. Now the reality is, and I came back and I kind of retweeted it and posted something here.
Yeah.
This is somebody who doesn't know how to take profits, right? This is somebody who chose to go ahead and blame the project and not their own greed. In fact, in their thread, they said that the owners got greedy, right? Now, I've been very upfront. I sold Jewel at 20 bucks, right? So like, honestly, like, I mean, I came back, I didn't leave. I just knew kind of what euphoria looks like. And the reason I bring this up is we are seeing the same thing with tiers, and I want to make sure people don't just have their head in the sand.
Right.
So like, and because I just saw Grady talk about, tiers at 10 cents. And while I do believe that could happen, imagine, like, do you guys remember AMC or GameStop in 2021?
Yeah, a little bit.
So like AMC was something that like I owned. I bought AMC at like $4, sold it at like 12. I bought it at 16 bucks, sold it at like 35. I bought it at 22, sold at 72. And when I sold at 70, every time I sold, I got called an idiot. And every time when I sold at 72, AMC's price tag was $100,000 by the influencers, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. AMC is very different because I can't sit there and generate more AMC shares just by sitting every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I still sold it because I realized it would be significant enough for me to make a lot of money. And my friend who argued with me up and down that, AMC's going to 100,000. Why would we sell all our shares? I'm like, okay, dude, hold one share. When it goes to $100,000, there you go. Guess what? That share's worth $5 today.
Yeah, wow.
Right? Right. But with tiers, same thing. We don't know what's going to happen in the game, right? Like, we know that they decrease the drop rates. So there's a huge supply crunch, right? Does that mean tiers will go up? Of course it does. At what point does the team intervene? We don't know.
Right.
But guess what? We have an unlimited resource in that we are able to continue to grind and build out your tier collection through your heroes.
Yeah.
When people ask me why I'm sitting there and selling tiers and fighting tiers, whatever, I'm not fighting anything. What I'm saying is I'm not stupid enough not to take profits.
Right.
I have a constant army that's making me like about, what is it, like 300 to 400 to 500, depending on the day, tiers.
Right.
So why don't I take profits? And if it keeps going up, perfect. My heroes are making me even more. Yeah. If it goes down, I'm not sitting here licking my wounds. Right. And there are a lot of people out there who don't have big enough accounts where they can afford to take the gamble. I get it if you're Grady and you can buy 100,000 shares and sit on it, right? I get it if you have a big enough account, you can do it. But if you're sitting there and you have like 5 heroes and you're just gonna go all in on tiers, that's a little, scary. I would not recommend it.
Yeah, I would not do that. Yeah.
So like totally agree. Tiers, if nothing changes, are gonna keep going up. But if you have an army that's generating tiers and you want to take some profits, don't feel bad about doing that because you got to keep replenishing them. Every time I sell tiers, I look DFK helper, another 300 tiers, another 400 tiers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Here's my 2 cents on that also. So when Grady, I guess the first time I really had an eye opener for tiers was when Grady was interviewing with Ogre or had a stream, and there was something about tiers that came out, and then I was like, oh, that's a really interesting thought. And at that point, I was like, man, I think I'm already behind the curve, because of course, once Grady says anything, then everyone in the community is on top of it. And so it's too late by that time already. But one of the things that I was thinking about a little bit more is like, maybe we do want to get a little bit more into tiers. Even still, there's still some good opportunity. But then as I thought about it a little bit more, I'm thinking, you know what? One of the things that's going to happen as tiers start to become more and more scarce, and we can quest for them, the play there is for more of us to get more heroes. Because unlike gold, like right now, there's a certain amount of gold that's in the earth, and we can go and we can try to mine that, and maybe there is gold that is harder to get to, and maybe as better technology comes out, we can get to that. But the thing is, with tiers, it's only a matter, there's not a limited amount of tiers that are ever going to exist. Having 500 times more heroes is going to be bringing in 500 times more tiers, right?
That's right.
And so it's as soon as more and more people start to realize heroes is the key to getting more tiers, and people get more heroes, that is going to soon, eventually, flood the market with tiers. And so at some point, even though right now tiers are very expensive, there's going to become a tipping point where so many of us and bigger wallets are going to be getting so many heroes, getting those tiers and selling them. They're going to have more tiers than they know what to do with. They're going to sell those off.
Correct.
Tier prices are going to go back down drastically. Yeah.
That's correct, because as much as there is a limited supply, right now some of the supply is being controlled by the bigger wallets, right?
Right.
And this is exactly like what I don't want to see. And me and Crypto Grady are very serious about this. We don't want to see newer players and smaller players get taken advantage of. That's
right.
Literally the worst thing that could happen. This happens so much at the start, right? Because crypto is, a lot of this are zero-sum games, right? Every time you win, you take away from somebody else, right? And the same thing the other way around. What we don't want to see happen are people get this euphoria feeling on tiers. This happens, then all of a sudden I hear the same old, oh my God, I put all my stuff in here, I got rugged by DFK again. You know what I mean? We don't want that. What we want is to set reasonable expectations, which is why you'll never hear me say I expect a certain price target on something like tiers, because I don't want people to think, oh, if I hold it, because if I say I think tiers are going to 10 cents, right? How can I tell someone to sell it at 2?
Right.
No one's gonna listen to me, because they're like, well, if you say it's going to 10 cents, I'm gonna hold till 10 cents. Whereas for me, it's like, yeah, I think tiers can keep going up, but we don't know what we don't know. Things can always change. We know the team is very adaptive, right? And we also know there are huge wallets sitting here that at a moment's notice can choose to drop their big supply, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that that's gonna happen, but if we are so fortunate that we can sit there and create tiers, then you have the best of both worlds. If tiers goes up, you win. Right? If you sold your tiers and went down, you win.
Right.
Why don't you just want to win? That's all I ever want to do. I just want to always win, right? And we found a way to do that. And I think that's the beauty about this. And honestly, like every single time an ecosystem goes one way, like you pull it one side, there becomes opportunities in the other, right? Right now, everyone is sitting there getting tiers, right?
Yeah.
No one is sitting there in perfection quests. Those 8 NPCs on both realms must be pretty lonely for the most part, right? What that means is the lesser crystals values must be going up over time. The gold isn't being made as well that much, right? So there is going to be an opposite reaction where all of a sudden that becomes the opportunity, right? That's one example. Another example is, everyone was focused on the Gen0, on those raffles, right, for Gen0s, especially summoning, and it decimated the supply of Gen1 10 out of 10 heroes to the point that even a week or so out, we are sitting there and looking at ridiculous prices for those. 150 crystal. To put that in perspective, if you take 2 of your Gen0s and mash them together, it costs you 60.
Yeah.
So you're making 90 crystal per pair, right? Automatically. That's the worst case scenario, right? Now, over time, what's going to happen is people will be buying less than are being made, right? Yeah. We're not seeing the influx of that yet, but that's what's going to happen. Over time, the supply of those will continue to increase, People will start lowering the price to sell there sooner, and we're gonna start seeing what we did 3 months ago, where Gen 1 10 out of 10 prices were like 70 crystal, 80 crystal, right? Do you know what that means? When that happens, you're gonna start seeing the bigger wallets start to pick all of those Gen 1s up, because the next Gen 1 or the next Gen 0 raffle, these can be an easy 2 to 3x. And this is why when people come to like my Discord or anywhere else and start telling me they've done everything they can, and they tell me they've done only the basic. Only the basic, which is open up their wallet and click on mine, click on garden, click on fish or forage, collect their S Jewel, collect their garden, and log out. That tells me they've done the literal least. You know what I'm saying? And hey, Crypto Grady.
You know, this is one of the reasons why I really also think that these automated tools are going to be really helpful, because when those automated tools can help people do the duels and the liquidity pools and the buying and selling and the summoning and all this stuff, then even these people that aren't aware of all the things that they should be doing are probably going to be getting into things that they should be doing, because the tool is going to do it for them, right? Oh, is that Grady I heard?
Yeah, baby.
Woo!
Yeah, hey, I totally agree with what you guys are saying. Another thing that just to be conscious of over the next, until we actually have hatching of the eggs, is that there are multiple dozens of wallets out there in existence that could literally dump all their tiers and crash the price to a fraction of a penny.
Yeah.
You know, at any moment, because there's not enough liquidity. Yeah. So until there's more liquidity, right? But with all that being said, there's not enough tiers in existence to hatch all the eggs in existence.
Well,
yeah,
so,
but the challenge with that too is like, even when we looked at like gray and blue eggs when they launched, like I wouldn't say, like, I don't even think more than 20% were hatched in the first few weeks, right? I think people were very tempered with it. So I don't think we expect people to do it. Also, we don't know how many of those eggs are kind of dormant, sitting there. People are going to use it to resell. Who knows, right? I just think.
Well, and same with the tier. There's going to be a lot more tiers that are dormant than eggs because of the early stages there, and Serendale having a higher drop rate. But see, back then there was no use case for the pets. We didn't need them. We didn't need to hatch all the eggs. But when Profession 10 level quests out, there'll be no more speculation. It'll just be like, oh my gosh, I want to be getting there's a higher drop rate of tiers for Profession 10 level quests and all the other items. So now all of a sudden everybody's going to want to actually have the pets to quest with all their heroes.
So you know what's funny? And here's the alpha that I'll drop here. The best time to sell your pets is actually that first damn day of the pet utility, because that is when it's going to be overhyped and people want it. And why do you think I've been buying mythic pets? I started buying them at 1,200 crystal for the 9 stars. And now they're like 4,000. I will be dumping all of them on day 1.
Wow. That's going to be a good play. Also, something that I want to point out here for everyone listening, and I've said this like at least twice now on the stream, but I think it's such an important point. The things that we're talking about and some of the plays that are going to be done, just like tiers in this particular case, right this moment is a really good time in history where tiers are really valuable. And I think that there's an opportunity. Again, don't go all in, because we don't necessarily know how long that opportunity is going to last. And I don't think any of us want someone to get wrecked over a single play that could turn out pretty bad. Things can change pretty fast.
Because it's just because there's an infinite amount that can be created. This is why that's why I always recommend like selling or trimming or doing something. And like, if it keeps going up, perfect. You have a hero stable that lets you do it. And like, I'm reading now in chat, like I completely agree with Christian Peter here. Like what he's just said about like how, I think he was talking about swapping tiers for Jewel. That's exactly what I have been doing. Because like, I don't need, and I mean, I'm Grady, you're gonna hate me for this, but like, before I used to use tier bonuses on my summons and no stones. Now I'm not doing either. So that's a lot more money, man. And that's money that's coming out of margins. So I'm trying to cut every corner I can right now. And you know what? If tiers keeps going up, this is amazing for those of us who own heroes. This is extra value from your NFT, but don't, like, what I would say is don't count on it. It's an extra bonus, but don't ever like put yourself in a situation where it makes up a majority of your account that it could harm you, because there's a bunch of people out there who don't care about the community the way that the three of us do and the way that those in the chat do.
That is true.
Right?
Yeah. That is true.
And it's our job to make sure, especially, and this has always happened. This is the thing I hate the most. I want to see these things keep going up, but I also don't want to. I don't want the euphoria to get ahead of everyone, because this is just like when Jewel was at $20, and when I told people in the Discord that I was going to sell, they're like, "Oh, you don't believe in Jewel, eh? You're just sitting there shilling it." I'm like, what? Right? But it's not about that. It's about being realistic and looking at what the price action is and over like what time period, right? Like, I think Grady, what percentage is tiers up over the last month? It's like 1,000%, something like that.
Well, over the last month, it might only a 2x-ish, but over the last 6 months, it's 50x at least.
I think Christian Peter has a really good little thing right here in chat. Buy more heroes, not more tiers.
Right.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
If your mindset is tiers are pumping right now, so I want to buy more tiers, wait for it to 3x, and then sell those tiers, that could be a good strategy or some, but I think the better strategy is don't speculate. Brown Jen, I think you even had something on one of your streams earlier. Don't speculate on the gold or mining that gold yourself. Sell the shovels. And so if you're buying the heroes instead, those heroes are going to find you more tiers, and those heroes are going to forever be bringing in more income, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think questions always around price targets. I wouldn't worry about price targets as it relates to any of our tokens. And the reason I don't give price targets is if I do that, no one's going to sell till it hits the price target, right? And the price target I'm going to give you is not going to be like, well, Jewel's at 25 cents, so my price target is 26 cents. No, I want to give you a price target that's way more aspirational, that is way more long-term in nature, right? I think people should just get in the habit of saying, hey, look, I put a bunch of money into this game. Every so often, when I made a good move, pay yourself. Pay yourself, just like you would at work. You got a bonus from work? Perfect. Do the same thing here. Like, let's say you did something amazing. You know, you got that transcendent hero, and like, let's say it was a transcendent Dread Knight or whatever, and it was worth like, I don't know, how much are those worth? Like $5,000? Like that? All right, let's say you sell it. Okay, cool. Take like 2,500 for yourself. Go on vacation. Do whatever you want. But don't sit there and just go, hey, I'm waiting for Jewel to hit this amount for me to sell. Just take some money off the table every now and then and sit there and think of ways for you to create value in the game. Look for ways that don't require you to take out your credit card or your debit card to fund your account with crypto. Think of, how can I take advantage of the tools ahead of me to create value within the game? And I keep posting on Twitter so many ways to do that. There's arbitrage opportunities. There's thinking ahead, like what we do with pets. There's, what we're doing here with tiers, where you can literally sit here and just collect a bunch of money off tiers, sell that into a stable if you want, and hold on to it. There's so many things you can do.
Something that you've said right there triggered something else that I wanted to bring up, and that is, you're saying pay yourself and go on a vacation, and I do think that kind of thing is really good to you're making some money now, have fun with your life. But one thing that I will also add is, I've been investing for a long time, and when I was growing up, my parents taught me very well as far as being frugal with my money and investing, but also diversification. So one of the things that I would say is, if you are making a decent amount more in crypto than in some other investment strategy that you've got, or maybe you don't even have any other investment strategy, as a lot of people unfortunately don't, I would say diversification is important. We know that crypto in general has the opportunity to make a lot of money really fast, but then also crash down really fast. So take your profits when it's good. But I would say, if I wanted to say something to a lot of people, and that is, diversify your funds. And so if crypto's doing well, take some out, put some of that into real estate, put some of that into maybe a normal stock market or something, even though that's risky as well. But everything's risky. Put some of that maybe into some kind of either art or gold or some kind of hard asset. and diversify a little bit into some different types of things. Real estate's always good. And then one part of the diversification should absolutely be fun, entertainment, life satisfaction, like trips and family stuff and whatever it is that you're doing there. So have like 5 or 6 different pots, where crypto is one of them, real estate is another, hard assets another, but also lifestyle and life enjoyment is another one. And so all of those pots need to get some of those funds and diversify between all those different places.
Yeah, so like I was more of like being facetious with take a vacation, but that is
more
good. About, yeah, but look, what I meant is it's more about like sort of ensuring that you're not just constantly like sitting there trying to grind nonstop, and like at least having the money locked up somewhere, like even having this cash in your bank account to say, hey, look, looking back on this, I won. Like I'll give you an example. Like I took money from DFK when I was selling Jewel at $20 and stupidly bought a bunch of like DeFi stuff, right? Which was like DeFi reverse or whatever, right? Which was also on Harmony. Well, when I look back to $20 in Jewel, it's not really a positive sentiment for me because I wasted money buying the crap on DeFi, right? Because I'm like, oh, I won here, but I took that money and dumped it here. So that's why I said, like, you want to tie it to something positive, because the next time you think about taking profits, like, I want you to feel positive about it, right? So as long as you can attach a positive emotion to whatever that was, whether that's vacation, whether that's putting in your bank account, yeah, it could be, you know, buying gold, buying Pokemon cards, or like you could do what I did, which is I made a bunch of money on DFK. So on my honeymoon, on the way back, we went to LA and I dropped like 4,000 US on Louis Vuitton stuff. So now whenever I wear the Louis Vuitton stuff, I got a damn smile on my face because I know where that came from.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I love it.
All right, guys.
I love it.
What, So in other words, what we're doing is we're buying heroes, we're selling tiers, we're keeping some of our money off on the side.
Well, not necessarily. I'm not selling any tiers, just because I still don't have enough. But what's that? I'm definitely not buying any unless I need to for stones or for.
But Grady, if tiers went to 0 tomorrow, it wouldn't change your account at all, like in a significant way, because your account is massive, right? That's what people need to see and understand, right?
Yeah. Well, if tiers went to 0, that would be still.
No, but you get what I mean though. 0.01 or something, you know.
Yeah. And so
because you have a proper use for those tiers coming up,
right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need the tiers when green egg hatching comes.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter the price or the cost of those at the.
You're right, but let's say tiers do go up to 10 cents, which I think. And so sorry, this is just Grady talk. This is what's going on in my brain.
We want to hear it. Yeah.
This isn't like me trying to say, no, I wouldn't recommend buying tiers. I 100% agree with that. There's not enough liquidity to buy enough tiers to do you much good anyways. Yeah, I love the idea of selling the tiers right now and buying heroes who make more tiers. Totally. And all these, or just buying Jewel, or whatever you want to do. I think all these strategies work. I have I think it's big brains, what they've developed. And so the way more tiers will be released is through Profession 10 level quests.
Yeah.
There's a higher drop rate of tiers and maybe like C Jewel, S Jewel power up to get more higher tier drop rates. I haven't heard the team say that, but I've heard tons of people from the community say that. So I guess that's a possibility.
Wisdom. Yeah, it's common wisdom, because how else would they solve for this supply crunch, right?
Right. Well, how they'll solve, it'll work itself out naturally over time in Profession 10 level questing, especially.
That's right.
Yeah. And so, but in order to get your best bang for your buck is we're going to want pets for the Profession 10 level questing. So I don't think very many of us are going to have the number of pets that we want in order to have all of our guys proficient in level questing, we're all going to want more pets, which means we're going to need more eggs and tiers to hatch them. And we're going to want higher quality pets for sure. Like when combat comes out, then on top of that, in combat, we're going to be mowing through stamina potions, mana potions, agility potions, health potions, like bonkers.
Which, let me interject real quick. That's another reason why I would maybe not necessarily invest in tiers right now, but instead buy heroes, because those heroes are bringing you those materials and those loot items that we are going to be needing. So you'll have more of that stuff as well as tiers and whatever else that heroes are bringing in.
Yes. So this whole ecosystem is just beautiful, big brain. The more I think about it, the more I just see the genius. And with Hubert and Frisky and Magnus creating all just the end game economics. And so I've almost just never been so bullish on anything in my life, because it's bullish for every single asset in the ecosystem. I mean, there are some of those items that still have no use case other than you can sell them for gold or sell them on the...
Just hang on to them, man.
Yeah, because crafting and all these different things, it will require those items.
Yeah.
And so...
You know, one of the things that I picked up from, I forget who it was, dealing with the Fight Club dungeon crawl stuff, but you do remember that somebody there was I forget if it was Raph or Neindorf, somebody there was talking about the fact that even Fight Club is going to have some loot that you're going to be able to pick up in their dungeon crawler stuff, right? And they said, I remember specifically, they said some of that stuff that doesn't have any value right now, they're going to give value to it. Yeah.
Right. And I've been like, yeah, I've got a ton of that, because I've been doing the Fight Club instead of the duels to get the raffle tickets. And then right now, you know, the raffles, they still need to tweak that, I feel like, a little bit, but I know they will, because it's gotten a little crazy.
So
in what
sense do you want them to tweak it?
What's that?
In what sense do you want them to tweak it?
Yeah, so I feel like, and I kind of saw this a while. I mean, maybe I actually did do a talk.defykingdoms.com on this one. I think I did, actually, where the greater crystals, at least, especially a while back, were so out of whack on their value versus their benefit. And so they needed a larger drop of greater crystals, so that, you know, to make it an actual usable item in the game, other than, you know, just, you know, it's just so crazy. It's at the very beginning when those came out, it was like you could only buy one for like $1,000, and then I think it is down maybe to 175 to 100 jewel currently, which I think maybe, depending on which one, like a might and vigor one is way more, like 150 even.
Man, I need to sell mine, because after what you and Starbuck told me, like, I started buying the regulars.
Yes, that's the way. And not any regular. You don't want to buy the vigor and might regulars. I mean, but then, because they're so much more expensive, like the vigor regular crystal is 65.
Dang.
It's crystal. I might be talking in crystal.
Yeah, it might be crystal, because I bought some regular might crystals for my mythics.
Oh, you did?
They weren't that bad. They were like 48 or something. Crystal.
Okay, but for, like, you can get all the other ones pretty much for like less, for about a third of that.
Oh, so you're saying, like, focus on the next stat. This is as
yes, just I just kind of forgo my mites, and I'll go with a lesser if I really want to use a might or a vigor.
But you know what? I can justify it because I cheap out everywhere else, on like,
Okay,
my,
yeah.
like whatever. So I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
On my mythics, I'll pay for them. The other ones, I don't really care, right?
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, sure. And so having a larger influx of greater crystals, and then they're actually used more often and consumed instead of just holding for that 1 or 2 or 5 euros that we have.
Yeah.
Like even I almost never use them, and I'm just too damn lazy to figure out how to go sell them. But I wish I could just go to the DEX and sell them. But
Grady, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You have probably one of the biggest hero wallets of the people who interact with the community.
Yeah.
How many, or do you have a good stable of like matching main and subclass, like high level of those, like priest, or knight, thief, archer, whatever?
Yeah, I'm sure I do.
Yeah.
I'm
Have
sure.
you
So
you
when
haven't been checking?
priest, like I was tempted immediately, like when I saw your tweet instantly, and it was like right away you tweeted that out.
Yeah.
I thought about looking, but then it's like, man, I don't need more heroes. I know I've got priest.
I had already looked. I was looking for a week before that on priest.
Okay.
And could not find anything.
Wow.
Wow.
Like anything I wanted. Like I went in there and just was. I think I bought 4 or 5 mythics. Ironically, that's why the mythic that Rock won, I had replaced him with a pirate.
Wow.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So and that's why I'm like, oh, I got this I can give away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Cool.
Nice. I'm very
Yeah,
grateful
so-
for that.
Hey, there you go. So then going down further the line on the raffles. So what they've done is it used to be 5 winners for those bigger raffles. Now it's only 4. So they actually went the opposite way. I wanted them to go to like 10 winners or something. I don't know how many, but more than 5. So that for one, I've never won in the Greater Crystal raffle ever. And I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of tickets that I've put in that and just got nothing out of it. So then what that does is it lowers the value of the raffle tickets themselves, and then which in turn lowers the value of duels, because then less people are like, I don't care about the raffle tickets. So whereas when you have an item where there needs to be a greater supply anyways, and then you have the raffle tickets to gain more value in the raffle tickets. If there is a greater supply of the greater crystals, we would be consuming them more often, and we'd be more aggressively doing more duels, spending the crystal to do that, which 50% of all the crystal and jade used in duels get burned out of existence. 100% gets burned, which I love that.
Yeah.
So it's bullish. Like I love how Helper does the auto dueling is bullish for the whole ecosystem.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but I just think there's a lot of people that don't mess with that now, because now it just has even gotten crazier. You got to really pony up and put a lot of raffle tickets in to win. Now I know a lot of people that won a ton from that. And I think it's because they really pony up a lot of raffle tickets, and I think I just had bad luck on a couple when I really aped into those. So now I mostly just focus on some of the other ones, but I see all of those going way up. Even the minis for the crystal, because lesser crystals are pumping. Now the minis are really crazy. Like I saw a Vigor mini last night that was like at 1,200 raffle tickets were inputted into that.
Wow.
And there's only one winner.
Yeah.
So most all those people, you just lose all your raffle tickets, and it's not benefiting you to even do it.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's a difficult mechanic. Now what they're looking, what's that?
It'll balance itself out, because when I see so many raffle tickets being used, I just wait it out. And then especially in the off season, when there isn't any raffle tickets being generated, that's the time when you actually have a huge ROI on those raffle tickets.
Yep.
Because people aren't thinking ahead and going, maybe I should save them. There's no point kind of submitting when everyone's using their tickets then, right?
Right.
That's right. That's right. So I'm just like stacking up right now raffle tickets.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's just because I love playing the Fight Club AI. And I've gotten to where I can't be beat. I've won multiple hundreds of times in a row, and I just do it for fun. Yeah, and I'm not getting in
Well,
hardly.
if that's the case, how come you're not winning those tournaments, Grady? I checked.
I know. I think I might now. So especially if we do a light heavyweight, I think I've got a team that I could take on a pouring or somebody.
Really?
Wow.
Oh yeah. So I just have like a broader understanding now of the game
Yeah.
to where I'll have fun in those tournaments. But also, like a lot of times, like baby weight, for example, it's like constructing the right team is hard for that.
Yeah.
So you got to like pouring just goes and finds like the perfect heroes for it. And whereas I still don't have a good baby weight team, the only team I have fairly set up right now, and I could even still construct a better team even, but it would be hard. But I've got in the light heavyweight, it'll just be hard to beat me in that one.
So Grady, can I jump in? Do you have mythics for your baby weight?
That's the ideal way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, like how it's worked out every time is I'll just look at my mythics and legendaries, and then, but I use like a vigor crystal or something, or a stone, I mean, and then that didn't help. That doesn't help at all. You want a dex.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So it's not the right subclass combo.
Right.
Different things.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think Konex is still working out the game more and more to where there are some heroes like the Summoner and the Knight. The Knight has more value now than I gave it before, but I would still say could use a little bit more of a buff. The Summoner could definitely use a big buff.
I think Franz popped in my chat on Twitch the other day and made a comment, something. I was looking over Mr. Winning. I don't know if y'all remember him. He had been big into the DFK community, and he saw me online the other day on Twitch, and I was bringing him back into DFK. He's actually the person who got me into DFK in the first place last year in March. And so I was really thanking him, and of course he's been away from crypto and NFT stuff for a while, I guess, through the bear market and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I was bringing him back in. He had a lot of questions about DFK, and Franz was there in chat too, I think. And we were talking about Fight Club is one of the fun new things that you can do with DeFi Kingdoms. And Franz was talking about baby weight and having to make a new video on that, which I love. So you're talking about putting together a good team, and the fact that some of these different classes, they're being tweaked a little bit. I would say that those rundowns of what classes are best for what weights, because of course every weight, different classes are going to be beneficial at those different weight class. Every not profession class, but every hero class is going to be different at the different weight classes. And I would say that those videos that they've done to rank which classes and subclasses are the best for baby weights are amazingly helpful, phenomenal for putting together your team.
I love how they do that with Adventure DFK.
Absolutely.
So fun. Yeah.
If you're thinking about getting into Fight Club, definitely I would start with baby weight, because it's easy to get those level 1s, or it's easier to at least get those level 1s. And then watch those videos to see what classes you should be focusing on.
Yeah. So circling back to the ecosystem, and just my play with this is long term. Like with all the heroes, the items, and everything, I'm just so bullish on everything. And so I think the more I think about it too, I don't think there's a ton of eggs lost in cyberspace. Definitely some, but I do think like on Harmony 1.0, and a lot of people left the game. I don't think there's a ton of there wasn't hardly any eggs back then,
Yeah.
but there was a zillion gazillion tiers. And so the market got so overflooded that Hubert dropped the rate of teardrop by 80%.
Yeah.
So he dropped the minting rate of tiers by 80%, and it didn't even put a dent in the market for months. That's how overflooded the market was with tiers. And so
I think what you said also goes back to me, and I don't want to interrupt too much, but just as you're saying this to make a good point, that things in the game can change by the devs specifically making that change or forcing that change. So again, we want to be very careful to not ape into anything saying, oh, this is going to be the badass play for whatever it is. Devs could come in and nerf or buff anything, right?
Yes, they could. But I have seen on Discord more than once, as far as tiers go, they're not going to change the drop rate of tiers.
Well, that's the plan, but it could change, right?
Right.
That drop rate for what we have currently, they haven't indicated drop rates outside of that.
Right.
Well, they have indicated for Profession 10 level quest, there will be a higher drop rate there.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
exactly.
not
And all
indicated.
the pet bonuses too can affect it, right?
Yep.
What's that?
Like the pet bonuses and your foraging and fishing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we're going to definitely get a much better drop rate of tiers for Profession 10 level questing, but they've made it pretty clear over and over and over again over the past several weeks. Tons of people, it's come up quite a bit on both on Discord and even in the AMAs. They're not changing it. So
I've heard that before, though.
And so they've basically solidified that, put their foot down. I don't think they're gonna, at least anytime soon, drop those rates, but they will increase the rates for Profession 10 level quest. So on top of that, I do think there's quite a lot of tiers probably just lost away in cyberspace and Harmony 1.0 and people that have left the game. Not a ton of eggs necessarily. And so when the egg hatch, when there's real actual utility for these things, and especially when the game comes, like when PvP, PvE comes, that's when there's no longer speculation, right? We're not just, it won't be a lot of the people coming into the game and they're just going to want to play and compete and have good heroes to compete. And those, a lot of those gamer type people, they're not, their goal, their end goal necessarily, their number one goal isn't, it's like not for investment purposes. They're wanting to play the game.
Right.
So that's where we circled around the other night to where PvP is everything hinges on the game succeeding for this whole ecosystem to work.
Yeah.
And when the game, and from all I can see, Workhorse is just doing a great job.
Yeah.
Developing that part of it. And
I
so
don't think you could have a disagreement with any of us on that. I think what everyone is doing right now, and the reason like all of these things are valuable, is everyone is trying to get a leg up before that, right? Like setting up their accounts, like you guys, Mythic Squad, sitting there kind of creating those transcendent heroes, right? Other players are going out there trying to figure out, okay, Mosh, how do I get as many mythic pets as possible, right? How many do I crack? How do I time it properly? They have this like theory and everything, and you can work it out. It's mutually exclusive. I don't see how that works, but there's so many things, right? I think what we have to get the players to realize, and this is for the community, because I think there's a reliance on the community. Like the community relies on us to kind of give alpha, which is great, and we do, right? However, there's so much more to this game than the basic functions that you see in front of them.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like there's more to this game than just questing. There's more to this game than just sitting there and like collecting your garden, harvesting. Like I was saying this earlier, right? It is looking at all the pieces in front of you and saying, what's the step ahead that I can get to that's going to make me more money? And the people who do that are the ones who are growing their accounts. They're the ones who are going from having like 2 heroes, like 5 heroes to like a Gen 0 eventually, right? Whereas the others are going to sit here and make like 5%, return on investment and not have a good time because they're going to go, well, I can never compete in this game. Because I'll tell you something, I have a few friends of mine who were into this game, but over the last few months have kind of gotten out because they never put that much in, and they always felt like the game, and you'll hear this, right? The game is to cater to whales. Well, of course it is, but guess what? You don't have to be a whale to do well. Like, I got a whale, and now whenever they drop the next Gen0, I'm gonna have an account with 4 Gen0s in it, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I worked really damn hard for this.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you can make the same argument with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, with anything. It's like with the stock market, it's just a game for the whales to win.
Right. But if you
with leverage and shorting the market, like,
if you trade hot potato with everything in here and sit there and just jump, right? Like, how many times do we jump back from crystal to jewel, different tokens, before they moved in a big way, right?
Yeah.
So much money to be made doing this.
Yeah, I mean, but really, a big way to have made money. If you're just a small fish, and let's say you've got 30 heroes, and you've been questing them since August, and you've just been hanging on to all your tiers.
Yeah.
Well, literally, all those tiers that you've hung on to have the ones you're getting in August have 50x.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just boom, right there.
Right. Well, so completely agree, right? But it's also just doing more than that, right? It's being like, hey, like this, going to all the AMAs, like listening in,
right?
Seeing like all the changes, right? Like how many times, like Grady, I'm sure you did the same thing. You swapped between Crystal and Jewel multiple times with those moves happen, right? We all did because it was very clear. Oh, Jewel's deflationary. Okay, time to move in. Oh, what's that? They're gonna launch.
Right.
You know, I'm getting the hell out of Crystal before it drops, right? Now,
right.
42 cents. You know.
Yes.
There's something else.
Nailed.
Yeah.
We were nailing those calls.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. But with that being said, like to your average Joe who just believes in a project and has a long-term perspective, like I'm able to do this basically full time. So my head is, and that's why I'm trying to give like what I'm doing so that the average Joe has a fighting chance. So, but even with all of those things being said, you know, if you just believe in a project, first of all, you know, you get the jewel and then you hold it long term. So if you compare what traders make versus people that just bought and held.
Yeah, but that's different in the stock market versus here, right? So here's, I think this is my biggest point of like, this is where I disagree. I think that the people who are sitting there waiting for it to go up in the long term, they would have seen no growth. And this is, I think, the issue. Bear markets are damn brutal, right? Those of you who are sitting in the chat watching, those of you who are invested in DeFi Kingdoms stocks, whatever, the last year, this year, next year, will be some of the toughest years. And they're going to develop a lot of like grit and character and discipline because you're going to sit here and watch so much stuff change, but yet the dollar number you see doesn't change. And this is why, like, if those who sit there and, you know, I get this complaint a lot, right? From people who go, you said DFK is a great investment. My thing has either gone down or stayed the same, right? And what I tell them is, you have to be way more active in the game. Like, Jewel may have never gone past 30 cents in the last year, or not last year, sorry, last 6 months. But let me tell you something. I have my value of my account continues to go up because I've been making those moves. Right? If I sat there and waited, I would have got frustrated and be like, man, every day I open it up, I quest, like make a tiny bit, but like Jewel's only going down. Like when Jewel goes down 5 cents, I'm happy. And like obviously not happy, but I'm happy because that shift I probably got into the next thing before that. You know what I mean? Like
which is amazing.
I'm like, oh, I'm in Crystal, and Crystal doubled. Perfect, you know?
Yeah. Not very many people are able to do that in the middle of a bear market. So that's a low percentage.
But they can follow, right? This is why, like, my weekly, that's why I have the weekly, I do the weekly update to tell people exactly what to focus on. So Crystal was at 8 cents, Jade was at 0.16. And for 2 weeks straight, I said, if you have any Jade, put that into Crystal.
Yep.
This is what I'm doing.
Right. I guess kind of my argument back. This is fun. This is awesome. So Bitcoin went from a penny to $1.
Yeah.
And then it crashed all the way back down to like 3 cents or maybe. Okay. So basically what you've done is you've still been able to profit during that period of time, which hardly anybody was able to do that. Like a very small percentage. Bitcoin goes from a penny to $1, 100x gain, and then all the way back down to 3 pennies. And during the downward time, you were able to make money. That's like, wow, wowzers. And most people during that time, they got disillusioned and got out of Bitcoin. But the, awesome bullish people that stayed in got rewarded for, keeping their head in the game,
right.
And all that. So then, and I have some friends and some people that I've met throughout the years that were in that early, several. Okay. And then, so same thing with Ethereum or whatever. Like I had a friend that was just a huge Ethereum bull, and they had ended up selling dollar cost averaging out from pennies, and then they ended up getting out at $30. And that's the case with almost everyone. So if you ever think to yourself, man, if I would have just, bought Bitcoin when it was at a penny or $1 or whatever, you probably would have sold all the way out way too early. Because that's what pretty much eventually, after you 100x something, you're going to keep pulling out. And then once you 1000x, and then once you 10,000x, at some point, you're going to pull out your money.
Hopefully take some profits.
Yeah. So taking some profits for sure. So I definitely gotten a lot better with that, where I'm not selling off too much and not looking short term. But I would say that the biggest thing that I've learned from my years of being in crypto is number one is to find the projects with an awesome team who's grinding and developing under the hood.
Yeah.
Who are just really rock stars. And then focus in on those projects and just follow them and make sure that and study the tokenomics and the core values of the project, like their vision of what they're trying to do. And if their core values aren't to make a quick buck, and they have good core values that actually follow the golden rule of looking out for the best interests of others over their own best interests.
Yeah.
Then when you find that team and they got something special behind it, you're going to outperform the traders 95 to 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Just by buying and holding. And so, yeah, it's been a brutal ever since May, which is what May is, 8-9 months ago.
Yeah.
It's just been hell for all of us who stayed in. It's just been one thing after another of brutal hell. But
it's a period where I made the most.
Yeah, and that's when Brown Gent. So you're shrewd people. There are still a small percentage of people that actually made money, which is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, that's good.
Like there's not probably, unless for those who weren't in day one, like Ogre, that were buying Jewel at a half a penny. Yeah. Okay, but for anyone who got in a little bit later, like I think, like Brown Gent, you came in when it was high.
Like $12 to $14 was my entry point, but I still sold at 20, right? Like I didn't sell every single jewel I had, but I sold most of it.
Yeah, you might be the only one that I know. You're definitely the only one that I know of. You might be the only person who's actually made money who came in when it was up like that.
Yeah.
Who's actually in the green.
The problem is, I made money in DFK, but I actually lost that money in DeFi, right? So it wasn't it wasn't like I was net positive on DFK, right?
Right,
but then I Gen0 that went from like $3,000 to like, what is it, like $2 now over there?
Wow.
Some garbage.
Is it seriously that low? $2?
I don't even know if it's that high. $2 is
Oh
pretty
my
high
gosh.
for Gen0 on DeFi. But
Dang.
it's a really bad project that like literally. I mean, I made money off the liquidity pools and then bought a Gen0 on their mint, and then that was a really stupid decision because they have done nothing. They've actually done less than anything. They've actually tried to copy DFK, and then like that's all they did.
This
Right?
this goes right back to Grady talking about the team. So even if the project is almost the same identical copy, it's not so much about that. The team is vitally important.
100%.
Yes, and so I was doing the same thing. I was gonna buy it Gen0. I was following Climb Crypto, and I put in all the trank,
Yeah.
and I was doing all that, and then I just they didn't. There was something about the team that I was just like, and then I just got out of everything I possibly could, and have been.
They heavily focus on Mario Kart. Like their AMAs, their weekly AMAs, are just a Mario Kart tournament. It's so stupid. I don't
really?
understand. Yeah, I don't understand it, right? And then, I mean, like here, I don't mean to like talk bad about the project if people are in it and everything, right? I've been looking to. I continue to watch because I still have it, that Gen0, right? I'm like, maybe they'll do something and it'll go up, and consistently, like everything has just continues to go down, and they actually used they did so. Contrary to what the DFK team did, right? The DFK team said, we did one mint, one time, and that was it, right? Where DeFi then launched their chain, and then they kind of took even more money off their people and destroyed them again.
Oh my gosh.
What they did was to prevent people on Harmony from coming in and taking their tokens and supplementing like the tokens that were created on Chronos chain. They didn't allow them to bridge. You had to buy a different set of tokens, completely different price. So like the Fira token was like 0.01 or 0.02 cents on Harmony, like adjusted to match the Harmony like value because of the bridge.
Wow.
And then it was like $4 over on CRO.
Wow, that's
man. I remember that.
Yeah, so stupid. So then, and you had to buy $4 worth to get it, right? And then you'd buy it, do the mint. Then 2 months later, the bridge went active, and the whole thing just completely dumped again. And the whole thing was dumped before that even, but you know what I mean? So I felt bad, and I warned people ahead of time. I'm like, hey, FYI, before you invest in this, make sure you look at what happened on Harmony.
Yeah. Golly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that sucks. Because I still got a lot of that locked here that it's still unlocked or whatever.
In the bull market, like a rising tide raises all ships, right? We may see all that stuff go up. Who knows, right? But like honestly, like this is why I'm so happy about DFK, and this is not people may think this is my full-time job. I work 60 hours a week as the head of marketing for a pharmaceutical company.
Good grief.
So literally I have so little time here, but I'm so passionate about this, and I continue to try to make sure I'm on top of like what's coming ahead, right?
Yeah.
You are a freaking beast.
Yeah, it definitely shows.
You are my hero, Brown Gent.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We're very fortunate to have you in the space. Absolutely.
I know. You were one of the few, you and Christian Peter. I mean, almost everybody has kind of bounced the project from when I first got in.
And you know why that is, right?
It's like mental health for the bear market.
It's the views. Like I don't believe if you truly believe in something, like even Tesla. Like I believe in Tesla, and Tesla's down like 60% in the last like 3 months, right after Elon Musk bought Twitter. Well, guess what? I still look at all the Tesla news. I'm keeping up to date on it nonstop because I completely believe in Tesla. Just like that, I believe in DFK. DFK went down from like I think it was like $10 at the launch, at the height of Crystal Vale, and now it's 24 cents or 25 cents for Joule, right?
Yeah.
And still, I go in every day. I make sure I'm always up to date. And number one. Number two, I also told people about it. So like, I don't like those people who come in, start talking about something like they're an expert, and then at the first sign of trouble, they run away and pretend like they said nothing, right? People like Alex Onaton, that guy especially told people when Joule was worth $10 that was the lowest it was going to be. And then He ended up he bought in at $8 a jewel and then sold everything at $1 each, right?
Yeah.
But like, this is the thing. They all do it for views. They do it for influencer clout. Like, honestly, if I wanted to be a big time influencer, I wouldn't be covering DFK because I get like the lowest views.
That is true.
You know?
That is true.
Hey, I believe it's gonna come back, baby.
Me too. But you know what? It would feel so much better to be one of the people who, like, you know, the three of us and the others, to be those people who are there to help it grow versus just trying to be a parasite. Jump in when the project's doing well, and then trying to create credibility off the top of that. You know what I mean? That's what all these other people did.
Yeah.
They're just leeches. You know?
It's amazing.
And I do want to say one thing there. I do know a few names of people who had been in here last year and they're not here now. And some people absolutely are looking for views and all this, but I do want to say to some people's defense, and I don't even know who I'm talking about specifically, but the bear market really can wreck someone's mental health. And some people might have left just because of all the stuff that was going on. And it's not necessarily just the bear market in crypto, but just the pandemic stuff and whatever else is happening in real world.
You get what I mean? Like what I'm referring to are the people who sat there and posted Jewel go to 100. I'm making $100,000 every day in DFK. Like people like that.
Right, but
are the ones I'm referring to, like, not the people who play the game and just sit there and like are upset that their money's down. Like, I get that, right?
I'm talking
about
about
the people who were trying to like create a trap for new investors to come in.
Well, there's a difference between people trying to create a trap or people who are authentically excited about a project that they see, but then they get wrecked in it and that affects them. So like I've been hyped up on projects before that I really believed in. It didn't go too well. And I was bummed out myself about that, and also bummed out that I was getting other people involved. And I took that into myself so internally that I just backed away from the whole thing. I said, I'm bummed out. I don't want any part of this. And it wasn't because I was trying to pump something up and wreck it and that I didn't really care about it. I was legitimately affected by that though too. So,
but Rock, I'd say you are probably in the minority. Like you're a really nice guy, and like for example, if someone told you they were selling out, you wouldn't be the person to be like, wow, you're an idiot. Like, make sure you sell your tokens to me. Like the people I'm referring to, like I don't mean to call out everyone there, right? What I mean is there are a bunch of people in the space that if you went to sell anything in DFK in the months of December, Jan, or Feb, they came after you. Right?
I guess I could be really naive. I guess I could be just fairly naive with a lot of this stuff too, and thinking the best of people. That is possible,
Well, the thing is, like, and you're right. Like, I don't want to discount those people, right? But in every community, and I'm gonna be honest with you, because my channel used to be heavily focused on stocks, and the reason people are so like cult-like and don't want people to sell is people who buy in after them are almost like an insurance policy, because they create like the profit margin above. So like, let's say I'm influencer X and I buy Jewel at $1. If you come in and you buy Jewel at $3, as long as you never sell, my $1 profit margin, I'm holding on to it, right? Like I'm sitting there with my cost basis at $1, and you are protecting it. You're my shield.
I see what you're getting at now. Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of people do that bullshit. Like AMC, you should have seen the number of people calling them idiots if they sell. Where are those people now? They're all talking about mental health bullshit. Again, you know what?
Right.
I don't feel bad for anyone when they say mental health, when they're being abusive to those who are like have a differing opinion, right?
Yeah.
I've never been one to like, and you know, I think I was telling Grady this the other week. I had the most unique coaching client last week on Tuesday. They had asked me the first time I've ever been asked, how do I quit DeFi Kingdoms? That was their coaching call. They wanted me to help them take all their assets out.
Yes.
It's a weird call, but let me tell you something. I was more than happy to help. They were surprised I was willing to help.
Sure.
I mean, they were paying me, but I'm like, even beyond that, it is your choice when you want to take profit, leave the game, do whatever, right? I am not supposed to be I'm not the gatekeeper of who comes in and comes out.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
I'm happy
I
to
love
help
that.
anybody do whatever they want. I would be a little surprised if someone was trying to get out, but like you're saying, I just want to be a helpful person, and then whatever they want to do, that's what I'll help them with. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and
you get like $8,000, right? But like some people are like, oh, I don't want you leaving the community, whatever, because you know they want the money in the game. Who cares, right? If I truly believe this is a game worth being in, people will come and go,
Oh, yeah.
and more people will come than will go.
Yeah.
It's up to them.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not here to
Absolutely.
strong arm anyone and lock them in the dungeon. That's not that's not what this is.
yeah, yeah. And I think a big indicator when someone's just outright being shady, like just saying things for clicks and views. And I think you mentioned it, Brown Gent, is that when people do that and then they get out and it's on to the next, like nothing even happened, and they don't even own it. So they don't even, it's as if they don't even acknowledge that they were just promoting a project, and then now they're against the project. They're just on to the next. They don't own it. And it's like nothing to them, or they don't even acknowledge it. Even sometimes you'll see that.
Yeah.
And that's when shady, like red flag central.
And you know what's really bad? Like I see this a lot with YouTube channels. They'll sit there and promote NFT collections and other crap, right? So like I'll give you an example. I get reached out to every so often by like different like people who are starting up an NFT project. There's something called Dogeland, which is posting on everything for DFK. They like started private messaging me on Twitter, trying to pay me to show their project. I'm like, I'm not gonna start pushing something I don't believe in into people so that you can take their money, right? Like a lot of YouTubers are like sitting there hard on for money, and like they're like, oh, they'll take $5,000 in exchange. They'll get the people to sit there and buy these NFTs in a project that will go nowhere, right? Because if they're willing to pay me $5,000, imagine how much they're making.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's insane. And people just don't care. A lot of YouTubers don't care, and then they put up I can't believe this happened. I never thought this was. They don't take accountability for it.
Yeah. I hear you.
I think we have a responsibility, like when we're giving information out, and this is why, like I say, I don't want to give price targets for DFK because I'm a long-term visionary. The only price target I gave, right, the $500,000 for Gen0 in the future.
There you go.
I mean? I truly believe if CryptoPunks and Bored Apes and everything like that can be over $1 million with no function, if we get the best DeFi game out there. Help this game up. PvP's all-star. You got a massive ecosystem where like you have like your builders, your combat veterans, you have your farmers, you have all these people out there. Like tons of different hero or people people roles you can be into to make money in this game. We can be in a world where these 8,000 or so Gen0s are actually worth incredible amounts of money.
Yeah, it's total all the Gen0s, it's going to be a small amount compared to the number of players that we're expecting. Absolutely.
I can't remember how much. Somebody said 8,000 the other day, but
I think that sounds right.
Grady, I know because you talked to the team. I can't remember what it was though.
What 8,000? What was
how
that?
How many Gen0s will exist overall?
I think it's 250 times 8.
Yeah.
250 per class?
Yeah, it's 250 per class.
No, 250 times 16. So that's that's 4,000.
Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, 4,000. So you're saying I'm gonna own 1,000th of the Gen0s. That's sick.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And Rock, you have 4 Gen0s.
A lot of those.
I do.
A lot of the dormant lost, or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just dormant people who gave up on it's weird, but there's a lot still on like Serendale 1.0.
Yeah. And you know what? Like people will come back looking for them. It's like it's gonna be like they found their Bitcoin, later on.
Here's a thought that I've been thinking since we're talking about like how many Gen0s total and everything. Right now, the team is planning on having 16 different classes, I guess. But I can foresee if the game takes off really well, that they might end up opening up a whole nother set of 8 more, even on top of that, and possibly even another 16.
Maybe another 16, because of the way they built it out, right?
Yeah,
that was their original plan to have
No.
32
Oh,
Gen
30,
1s
32, yeah.
total. But right as of now, they said they're not even thinking about that.
It
They're
wouldn't
basically
it wouldn't even be
Yeah.
something on the radar at this point, but
right.
Sure.
we have to see how. I mean, one of the things that I would be looking at as a dev is how much of a of interest is being drawn in opening up a new realm, right? So like when Christabel opens, there's a massive surge of all this kind of stuff and enjoyment, and people are focused on that, and word brings it. Same thing when New Serendale opened, big massive thing. And there's so many more blockchains out there. I can't imagine that they're going to open up just 2 more blockchains and then they're done forever. I just
The problem
don't.
with that though is like them opening up more chains actually makes it more convoluted for players unless you have like region specific initiatives, right? Like dark summoning is only Crystal Vale right now. If each realm had their own like special thing, it would make more sense, because imagine how tough it is. Right now we're trying to manage the prices of Jewel with Crystal with Jade, right? And every time we list a hero, where do we list it? Where do we summon it? Where do we rent it out?
Yeah.
All of those decisions, I'm sitting there like it is a damn math problem, right?
It is,
So,
yeah.
like I'm sitting here and this morning I made a tweet about this yesterday. I sent over my scholar to Serendale 2.0 so I could rent a wizard at a much lower discount, or sorry, a much higher discount than it would have been on Crystal Vale. I ended up saving like 17 crystal overall. Did the math? It kind of like net. But like that is like these are the things that we gotta do, and it's only with 2 realms. Imagine doing that when 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know, it gets so much harder, and I think the question is, why would I use a different realm? Because like what's the rationale, right? And I think until the team has a definitive reason for doing that, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Or it's hard to make sense of it. Because if you can move all the heroes around, then why use them? Like, yeah, like it's great. We add liquidity, we do this. But if it's just to add the user base would find out about it through something else. But if the team is like, hey, you know what? We're going to start looking and maybe we'll create these 4 functions here only. Then you have to be there for those. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there will be some of that, I think. So, yeah, I could definitely see down the road if the game explodes, everything's going well, and I could see them continuing to expand possibly years down the road.
Yeah. And that's something that, again, I definitely want to say it's run through my head, but definitely not something anywhere near any horizon or anything like that. So, yeah, I don't want anyone to think that's coming in a few years or something. That's something that could be very far off, if at all.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here blown away. You're working 60 hours a week on your fiat job and you still have time for all this brown gent. I'm just like,
the thing is that I find time, right? Like I started work this morning at 7 a.m.
that is crazy.
The last 2 days have been brutal because I've stayed up till I think it was 2 a.m. on your stream, and then I had a meeting with like our executives from Europe, present on our financial forecast. So it was pretty brutal. That I only had like 3 hours of sleep that night.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm still sick, right? So
Yeah. That's why the 2x speed, man, is for time. The time savings of that, and 1.5 to 1.75 to 2x speed.
But you can't do it when you're live from the start. You know?
Right.
I know it.
Right.
I know it.
You know, one of the things that I've thought about, but there's so many disadvantages to not watching live. You can't interact and all this kind of stuff. But I've even considered, you know, maybe there's sometimes when I don't want to watch something live, I want to wait so I can watch it at 2x speed. But
yeah, oh yeah.
But that's so difficult to make that call, because then of course that means you're voluntarily saying I don't want to interact in that chat or community. And I'm like, man, I want to interact with everything I possibly can. So
well, but see, you're about the only one, Rock, that I do this, because I'm always doing at least one other thing while I'm listening to the videos.
Yeah.
So I never just fully engage into a video. Even the AMAs. I mean, maybe an AMA I might, but even those I'm leveling heroes. I'm doing stuff always.
Yes, exactly.
And so,
I mean, speak for yourself. I've been multitasking the whole time.
Yeah. No, that's the way to do it. That, you know, even those of us that are here in this conversation, I would say, you know, do some multitasking.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's hard to do when you're talking. But yeah, so I just cannot wait until this. We're going to be throwing parties when this stuff goes live.
Oh man.
And we're going to be, man, once PvP comes, like, and just the profession 10 level questing, I'm so pumped.
Oh, I'll be really happy for really any of that kind of stuff. I mean, PvP is going to be fantastic, PvE, but even, you're right. Even the profession 10 level questing, I'm overly excited. Yeah, just one of those things. So some of that extra functionality being brought in, and it's so close. I mean, what is today? Today is the 17th. Let me pull up a little calendar here, and let me refresh this. So January the 17th, and I think, didn't somebody say that they're looking probably not in January for
he said
something, but in February probably?
At the soonest by the end of the month is what Hubert said.
Yeah.
At the soonest at the end of the month.
And I'm not going to hold them to that fire at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and say February is what I'm thinking.
February.
And right. Because I don't want to hype myself up. I don't want to hype up other people in the community by saying that it's probably going to be at the end of January. So I'm just going to say February. That gives us a bit of time. And maybe by like the second or third week, and by that I mean like the 5th through the 18th. Somewhere in there, I'm going to say as a target for what I'm thinking. Of course, it could be at the end of February also, but my target would be the 5th through the 18th. And that's not too far away at all, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I just look at it as a time to accumulate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now. So, yeah, I definitely don't recommend just buying a bunch of tiers just purely off the speculation.
Yeah.
But
like what Rock said, diversify.
Yes.
Make sure you have all your as many bases as you can covered, right? Like when this happens, I have a bunch of pets. I got like almost 20 mythic heroes, like maybe 21 mythic heroes.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of stuff ready. I'm gonna have 4 Gen0s. Apparently Gen0s are dropping tomorrow morning. That's what I've been hearing.
Oh, really?
That's what I heard. I have been looking at the official Discord every single day trying to get some insight on this. Apparently tomorrow morning is the signal. I did think it'd be Wednesday because that's usually when the team does the drops. But somebody said they heard it was tomorrow morning. We'll see. It has taken longer than usual, but I assume it's because I had won, because you know that should never have happened, you know.
Oh no.
Right. So if you're trying to accumulate heroes, so one thing I was going to say to you, Rock, is that the floor prices on heroes are almost double from not too long ago. But
it's not
the summoning is as cheap as it's ever been.
And one thing I'll say about the floor heroes real quick, but then I do want to get your opinion on that. But the floor heroes at 50 right now, I do not think that that's going to last. And if y'all want to jump in and chime in on that thinking, but again, since 2 Gen 1 10 of 10s can summon for 32, I am always going to unless one of y'all can change my mind on that, I'm going to say that the normal floor price of heroes should probably be about 32 of the power token all the time. I
can fight for that one already.
Okay, fight me.
So here's the thing. You have to look at, so if not, the floor hero price has to account for the expected value of your summon, right? Every time you summon with a Gen 1, so like, number one, you look at the prices of the Gen 1 10 out of 10 heroes, right?
Yep.
Right now, floor is 150, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say you took 2 150 and they're both like, so you paid 300 for a pair, okay? Let's just say. I don't know which, maybe it's a Seer and Berserker, because everything else, one of the pairs is always more expensive. It's weird. So let's say you pay 300 crystal, right? Then 32 crystal for the first summon, and you know, I think it's 20 tiers, right? So you add that in, that is another 4 4 crystal. So you pay 36 crystal, okay, for the
Yep.
first summon.
Yeah.
That 36 crystal will either result in an advanced hero, right? So like an advanced class hero, 14% of the time ish, and with 5 summons, or it's going to result in a Gen 2 9 out of 9, right? But don't forget, you also have increased rarity. So you could hit a mythic, a legendary, a rare, whatever. There's tons of stuff that's priced into it. So you have to look at the actual distribution of all of the outcomes. And the floor hero is the worst of all those outcomes. And usually it's not one with 9 out of 9 summons. It's usually one with 5 or less. Because if you have a 6 summon hero, they can still create a perfect advanced.
Hang on a second. Hey, it does, and I agree with you with that, except for the fact that I think what I heard you say, correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to make sure that I'm completely understand. I think what I heard you say was that you've got these, the worst you could get would be a Gen 2 9 of 9 if you were doing that way or something like that. But what?
Off your first summon. Your first summon.
Right. But a floor, I think what we need to keep in mind is a floor hero isn't necessarily a freshly summoned hero. So for example, a lot of these floor heroes right now are used up. They have 0 summons, right?
Of course, but that's what I mean. So when you said the value is 34, they should be 34. What I'm saying is that the reason all the Gen 1 progenies will be way better than anything you're going to find on the floor. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right. The Gen 1 progenies will be. Right. Yeah. But what I'm talking about is what people are trying to get. So once you've got a Gen 1 or let's say a Gen 10 with 0 summons and it's a archer, it's a mismatched archer wizard with foraging or whatever. I mean those heroes that are not matched up very well, those will be the floors, right? With no summons and none of that kind of stuff, right?
That's right. So later generations where it's not worth it to summon with because one, I mean, they either have 0 summons or if they're Gen 10, you're going to be paying like through the nose, right? Like 112 crystal or 116 crystal, whatever the hell it is. But this is where dark summoning kind of flips the script here too. In the absence of dark summoning being there, even the shittiest of the shittiest heroes, you can find a hero pair that can make some like advanced abilities and just mash them together at such a low cost.
Yeah.
This is why the floor on that has risen.
That is true. I would definitely agree with that. Yeah. Yeah.
And so like there's no way to exactly say where the floor should be, but what people are realizing is even these heroes, right? Like let's take, I don't know, like, is this the lowest hero, the knight that you have in front?
It's almost the lowest. So the lowest is 50 right now, but these have like some summons left. And so I was looking for like where we started to see some with no summons.
What would be interesting is let's say you took that and just had that one hero in your account. You put it in a separate account. You put like, I guess I would go on Crystal Veil. Can you go on Crystal Veil? Actually,
yeah, sure, absolutely.
Here's the experiment to show you kind of like how you can determine.
Yeah, please.
You go and buy the hero on Crystal Veil. You have it in a separate account. Put like 5 jewel there as gas and let it run on its quest and see how much the materials it gets are worth. Because don't forget,
that's true.
Every 5 tiers is 1 crystal.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So part of the hero's value there is also in his ability to get the materials, right?
That's
so
true.
I'm sure people have repriced this, realizing, wait a second, that hero that may have been worth 35 crystal like 3 months ago, well, every tier I get is worth 0.2 crystal, 0.22 crystal, right?
Right.
So if it's getting me like over the course of a week, maybe 20 crystal, that's 4 crystal off the price. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors in here that complicates this. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. Yeah.
Like you could definitely make that experiment. Hey, if you had like, if you can ask Coolio to just set you up with a free like account just for like 1 hero to test it out, right? Because you already have some.
Yep.
Just have it run. Just have it run this 1 hero on Crystal Veil for a month. See how many tiers it makes.
And that's something that we could look into on a daily basis on the streams. Yeah, is just see how is that 1 hero test doing. Yeah.
What did it take to pay for itself? And because you may see it within a month, maybe it's shaved off like 1/3 of its value, like 1/3 of its value back. Right.
Right.
Stuff like that.
And you're right, because I mean when you consider that you're going to own that hero for years, we hope that DFK is going to be running for years, then yeah, I mean, how long would it take? But eventually you're going to be in profits, right?
Exactly. And to what Sir Mur said, I completely agree with, like, when people post like these high generation progeny, I like if you're gonna use them for summoning, I'm disgusted. It if it's for, like, you know, high strength, or just like it's gonna be somebody who's in the fighting pits, then sure, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for those of you who are interested in buying a Gen0, it is definitely gonna be right to buy it within the days following the Gen0 raffle drop, because some people will be selling them off. But be very careful when you're buying Gen0s. Focus right now on Legionnaire Scholars, but also Wizards, Thieves, Monks, and what the hell's the last one? Oh, and Warriors. Those heroes are worth so much more in their progeny than the opposite.
Yeah, I saw your video on that. It's very interesting
like
insight there.
I said earlier, right, that I moved my scholar over to mate with a wizard, right? And the reason for that is if I wanted to mate with a legionnaire, it's 150 plus 30. So it would have been 210 crystal on Crystal Veil, and I didn't think there was any on Serendale 2.0, but it gave me an 85 or 90% shot, something like that, of either getting a scholar or a wizard, and the floors for those were like 190 versus like the floor for a regular is like 150 if I went with like something else, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that is interesting.
Like you get a way higher premium just renting out or going for the progeny that results in like any of those other heroes. I did on one of the live streams where I showed that infographic on which is kind of the better one. But yeah, it's just something to think about, right? Like sometimes it's not just about going for advanced, because my archer, I don't even pair him with thieves anymore, because the thieves are way too expensive right now. And if I brick on the Dark Knight, or if I hit a thief, I'm actually gonna lose money.
Yeah.
Or sorry, if I brick in the archer and hit an archer, I'm gonna lose money. So I go for like a very cheap wizard or a cheap warrior or a cheap monk. Right. And if I hit those, I'm like boom, I make like plus 30%.
I think Crypto Keith has an interesting note here in chat I want to throw out there to everybody. He says, I did the math for a floor fisher a couple of days ago. I came to 0.39 crystal per day. That's with 0 profession quests, so obviously it will get more as you level up. And so I did the math just now. If you were to buy that hero for 50 crystal, which is kind of the floor right now, and then you were to send it on questing for 4 months, that hero would pay for itself in only 4 months. So you're really talking about after a 4-month wait, and that's with the prices of the tokens staying as they are right now. And if we figure that some of them might go up.
0 Moshka runes, that's with 0 eggs, right?
Yeah.
Because you can tell 0.4 is like, that's the same as having like 2 tiers a day almost.
Yeah.
A little, like, it's the average, right? But like, and he says it in the sentence too, right? Obviously, like, there's a lot more variance in this.
Yeah.
But overall, like, I would suspect when you run it, it'll probably come down to like maybe 90 days or less to actually pay for yourself.
But right? See, here's one of the things I want to get at. Even if it's 6 months, right?
That's a good deal.
Then look, I mean, how long are we going to be playing this? If you think DFK is going to be around for more than 6 months, you're going to be coming out ahead after that time.
Yeah, you can also just sell it back as well, and like sell it back at the same price you bought it if you want to, and still profit, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah. And I would say even if you were selling it at less crystal back later, which I doubt you would, because once you've got a level 10 hero, it's probably going to sell for more. But we're also going to suspect that in 6 to 9 months to a year, the crystal's probably going to be worth more than 10 cents. And in that case, you could sell it for less crystal, but still come out dollar-wise ahead as well.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, guys, it was nice chatting. I need to take a quick nap because, like,
You are dead.
Love you.
Love you, man.
Brown Gent, love you. I need to catch up on some videos, I think.
We will.
Okay, I mean on watching them. So
Oh yeah.
Great.
crank some out.
We'll do a live stream soon as well.
Great to
Yeah,
have you
that
here,
too.
man. Yeah, I really appreciate you being here and hopping on.
Thanks again for the mug. I've been drinking Red Bull out of it for the last hour and a half.
I love it. Love to hear that you got that mug. Oh man, thanks.
Get some rest. Get some
Yeah.
rest. Yeah. Okay.
Nice. So Grady, I don't
Yeah,
know if you wanted to go and do some stuff yourself. If you wanted to hang out and chat a little bit more, you're welcome to it. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm just like so blown away that on two things with Brown Gent. For one, he actually just within the DeFi Kingdoms ecosystem has actually turned, it sounds like, and I believe him because he's got it on spreadsheets. He's like detailed.
Yeah.
He's actually turned a profit within the game. And then of course he said he put in the profits into DeFi and different things that hasn't benefited him.
Yeah, that's amazing. To be able to
He's
make a
probably
profit in the bear
only
market.
one.
Yeah.
Like I've been thinking, I don't think there's anybody else in the entire ecosystem that could say they came in to the game when it was up. Not like besides your ogres and the people that were in right off the bat on day one, when Jewel was a half penny, or a penny, and they were in making hundreds of thousands of percent APR,
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Yep.
Besides those, I don't think there's anybody in the game that's actually up.
Right.
Especially those that came in later. So that's amazing. And then also his schedule, just the way he's able to get so much done all the time. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
He's just a machine.
I think we're really fortunate to have him in the space. Like I said, or like you're saying here, there's just so much value, and he's again doing all this on top of a normal job too. So that just, I think, shows you something about his quality of his character as well. Yeah.
So circling back to the ecosystem, I can't, my mind is just overload. I just think it's about to explode, unlike we can imagine.
Yeah. So here's something here's something that you were a topic you were bringing up just a minute ago, and I dove in there with a little sidestep, but I want to come back to it, and that was, I'm trying to build up my hero army, and you're talking about summoning, right? Rather than buying some of these heroes. So what are you saying about this? What kind of new mindset do I need to wrap my head around?
I would first of all, look at all the summoning pairs that pair up well for you right now.
And I think ADFK has a good page, like probably behind their paywall, that really can match up all of my heroes better. Is that going to give me a breakdown?
Yeah, I could actually go live. I've got a little video on that, but I could even go live with you and show you. So yes, they have a hero matching, and it will match all the pairs in each wallet. So you put in your wallet address that you want to match with, and then the hero number. Now, Stomposaurus, that would be amazing if you can utilize his tool.
I wouldn't want to intrude on that, but I know Stomposaurus has a really good thing there too.
So Stomposaurus will save you a ton of time.
Yeah.
But let's say, even without that, because you're not like me where you have a bazillion heroes where it's just kind of a big pain in the ass.
Yeah, I think I've only got about 90.
That's what I still do it. I can still do it. But you said 80 heroes ish is what you've got, or 100?
I think I've got 90 right
90?
now.
Okay. So you can find a hero, like let's say you've got a Gen 1 10 out of 10. Oh, and I still need to send you that wizard.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Let's say you've got a
So I've got 91 now.
Okay, nice. Yeah. If you got a Gen 1 10 out of 10 and you've got other Gen 1 10 out of 10s, like for example, you're trying to pair this wizard and you've got a priest, 10 out of 10.
But I don't have a lot of those, which is part of
Okay.
my issue, right?
Well, so you can search your wallet, and then you can search
Here, let me.
the tavern as well. And then, so you could do some buying. Now, one thing that they've all said is what hasn't come up yet is the price of Gen 1 10 out of 10. So it's kind of perfect
Right.
for you. And so you could find a great pair and buy that one. And then you've got 10 summons. Boom. And that's how you could help build an army right there. And it's cheap to summon those, especially at first. Or you could do a combination of different things. You know, you could summon them 5 times and then sell them and buy a new pair and summon that pair 5 more times and then sell those and buy a new, stuff like that.
Yeah. So I've loaded in my wallet to where am I at? DFK Analytics right now. And I've sorted. So it looks like in this particular wallet, I've got about 72 heroes. And then there was, I think, 12 in another wallet or something, or 6 in one wallet. And I think I've got a few more in another wallet. So again, it's about 90 heroes, but a lot of these have 0 summons available to them. And some have 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. Let's sort that descending instead. So of course there are a couple of Gen 0s that we've got in there. There are a few 10 of 10s, but it looks like I've only got 4 Gen 1 10 of 10s, and even 1 or 2 of those, like the one that I got from Brown Gent, I don't want to use in a summoning pair right now, so I don't have that many. Then I've got a couple of 9 of 9s, some 8s, some 7s, but as you can see, I might only have a small handful of heroes that have any number of decent summons. And so that makes it a little bit more challenging for me, because of course, once those higher generations are up too, it starts to get a lot more pricey. Fortunately, I think I've done a fairly good job at keeping my generations, the ones that I'm buying, is fairly low.
Yeah. Well, and so I would only buy a good match with one of your existing heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And then summon those down, and that's how you could build an army, and that's still dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Like at a 10-cent crystal, which is still kind of mind-boggling to me, right? Because before the summoning event, crystal, it went down to 17 cents, and then once the summoning event actually started, it went down to 13 or 14 cents, and then within no time, it kept dumping, and then we haven't seen it rebound, right? So you're actually able to buy and summon it where it was even prior to the summoning event. You're able to, you're still sitting pretty, I would say.
Yeah.
Getting you an army of heroes to quest, like, it's still pretty cheap.
Well, one thing I have been doing lately is I've been a lot more particular about buying the heroes that I do, which is generally not the bottom of the floor, but a little bit up from the bottom. And I've been a little bit more interested in making sure that I have at least some number of summons when I get those, rather than several months ago, like 5 or 6, 7 months ago, I really wanted to just get to start my army. And to do that, I was buying up a lot of heroes with 0 summons just to have more heroes. And I think I've pulled away from that a little bit. They are less expensive to have 0 summons, and those are better than nothing if you don't have very many heroes at all. But once you start to have, 30, 40 heroes or so, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you should probably be focusing on heroes that have more summons, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Especially right now. And you could build up quite an army doing that. In fact, I was just thinking, maybe I could hop on and just show you some examples. If we could either do that in a separate stream, or I could
I was thinking maybe that would be something where you would want to host the stream and I would come on like as a guest and say, hey, I've got this particular wallet. I could even give you the wallet in advance if you wanted to do a little bit ahead of time to try to. But
easy peasy.
Yeah.
No, and you could even just give me a hero number and I could show you.
Sure.
And we could even do that.
Well, here's part of the thing. It's not a specific hero. I think what I'm running in, because I can find a decent pair for a single hero. I think one of the things that I'm running into a bit of a challenge is now that I've got close to 100 heroes, finding the best pairs for 100. Like if I'm just trying to, if I pick out one of my heroes, say I want to find a pair for this one, I can do that fairly well. But I think what it is when I want to try to find 5 heroes that I can summon with and get 5 pairs out of the 90 heroes that I have, that seems like a very daunting task. And so a tool like Stomposaurus, if he's doing that, or the ADFK behind the paywall, which I, to be honest, I have not used that. I've seen you use it, but I don't know if I've seen you use it with a wallet address.
I could do it within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do each hero. It would take me less than 5 minutes.
That's interesting. So in that particular case, I think that might be worth it, and it might be good content for your stream. It would be an education for me that I could probably really use as well.
Yeah. So we could do that today.
If you wanted to.
Hey,
yeah.
I could get ready and we could do it here when you wrap up this stream.
Yeah, in fact, I'm ready to wrap up at any time, to be honest.
Okay.
I wasn't planning on doing the stream as long as I did, but how can you resist when Grady and Brown Gen are talking about all kinds of stuff? I was loving hearing every word.
I know it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm right now putting my pants on. And I will be in, and you wrap up your stream.
Yeah. I'll come in with my primary wallet and maybe a secondary wallet too. If we want to do that, is it easy enough for you to merge 2 wallets together?
Well,
or is that quite a bit more challenging?
All you got to do is text me your wallet address. Boom, done.
Yeah, I'll just send you a Discord.
But I don't even need that. You could just start giving me the hero numbers.
Oh,
you could do it that way too.
Like I said, I wouldn't want to do that because part of what I want to learn is taking a wallet full of heroes and not just specific heroes. So what I'm really hoping to see is I've got this wallet address. Now I need to find matches, like the 5 best matches out of the entire wallet for those heroes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
let's do it, baby.
Yep. So, all right. Okay. So, Grady, if you want to jump off and if you need to get ready.
You can wrap up and then I'll get set up.
Nice. Perfect.
Okay. Love you guys.
Love you, man.
Okay. See you in a bit.
All right. So, guys, we're going to be heading over to Grady's stream pretty soon. I think the only thing that I want to wrap up with here is I did not talk much about what I wanted to talk about today. One of the things that I am definitely going to do is I'm going to get back on DFK Helper, and I'm going to try to work with this minimum $15 a month wallet, set up a very small wallet that works specifically with this to see how much we can get away with. And I did get some other input from some other people that were here in chat. I think Crypto Keith was somebody who made a couple of good comments. And of course, Brown Gent had a couple of comments there as well, specifically to give me a better idea of what I might even, or how low I might even want to start. Like maybe even 1 hero with hardly anything in a liquidity pool, and just see if we can get DFK Helper to bring in a decent amount of funds that pay for itself just right from that, and see how long that would take. Anyway, I know Grady's getting ready, so we will talk about this strategy and what I'm going to do with this probably tomorrow or the next day as we do that. Otherwise, I will say something else I want to wrap up with real quick is just the fact that DFK Fight Club has a tournament coming up. If y'all haven't seen that, let me grab this status and I'm going to drop it into the chat right here. Their tournament's coming up January the 23rd. It's not too far off. From what I understand, there is no entry fee. It's free entry. Look at this. Free entry to the Fight Club tournament. And look at all these juicy prizes down here. 200 crystal, some heroes, more crystal, eggs, and so on and so forth. Free entry, guys. I was not expecting that. And with a lot of good prizes, and you don't even have to win maybe not even one game, just enter to get access to some of these raffle prizes here. So if you haven't thought about that, then that is one other thing that is coming up that I want to, in fact, I need to stick that on the calendar. I've got a DFK calendar, which is on another screen, which I guess I can pull over here real quick. So there is a DFK calendar, and I need to do something with finding an easy way to share it. It might be shared in the Darlantis Discord. I've got a couple of people helping, but you know, the merch entry deadlines and when the AMAs are coming out, we had a little bit of stuff like the Gen0 deadlines for getting certain things in and the DeFi summoning event and when that ended. And so I plan to do a lot more for the calendar as well. But anyway, the point that I want to make is when tournaments are coming up and all this kind of stuff, I want to get them on the calendar as well. Let's see. I guess that's really it. So let's go ahead and wrap things up. Let's hop over to the docks, launch ourselves out of here. Guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Let's go ahead and hop on over to Grady's stream. I'm sure y'all want more DFK content. I am going to grab a quick drink and maybe a little snack, and I'm going to hop over there myself, and he is going to help me try to find a quick and easy way to get a lot of good summoning pairs for a wallet of like 70 to 90 heroes when that's really too daunting of a task to go through manually. So hopefully we'll learn some good tips and tricks. Several of y'all probably already know, but maybe we'll get some good alpha there as well. So guys, thanks for being here, hanging out. We will do this again tomorrow. Hop over onto Grady's stream and I will see y'all soon. Until then, rock out.